Chapter 561, Defeat Enemy in One Strike, Top 20 of Dahong. Martial artists, regardless of which era they were in, were known to be inattentive to details, and commonly preferred to keep a long unkempt hairstyle. But this young man was clean-cut and had short hair. His eyes were extremely sharp and he looked obstinate and unruly. Wang Xian was deep in thought when he noticed the young man in front of him. Instinctively, he moved aside. "Oh? Is the Dragon King always such a wuss?" the young man exclaimed after seeing Wang Xian sidestepping to his right. His derisive look intensified while his arms folded behind him and he smiled coldly at Wang Xian. Wang Xian stopped and slowly raised his head, peering at the young man. "That's the Phantom, Kong Guanglin. Kong Guanglin is pitting himself against the Dragon King. How dare a disciple under a mountain sect that is ranked 11 call himself Dragon King? He is just an arrogant and impertinent kid. Dragon King. That title irks me to no end. Is he able to live up to such a title? This is getting interesting." The Phantom Kong Guanglin is ranked among the top 20 of the Dahong Immortal Sect's list of outstanding youths. He is also the head honcho of MT Julian. Coming from a mountain sect that was ranked 10th, you can imagine how strong he is to be able to rank among the top 20 outstanding youths. I guess it was the Dragon King trying to challenge MT Julian yesterday that led to the ire of Kong Guanglin, which is why he is finding fault with him today. You can't blame anyone for your actions. It is important not to show your arrogance in front of Dahong Immortal Sect. Otherwise, you will be dealt with severely by experts. The surrounding disciples taunted from the sides when they saw Kong Guanglin staring at Wang Xian. Most of these disciples came from the top 10 mountain sections. They had scoffed at the Dragon King ever since they heard about him, and now they were elated at the sight of Kong Guanglin confronting him. "I heard that there are rewards for being ranked among the outstanding youths." Wang Xian looked at Kong Guanglin and asked this casually, at the same time shifting his glance to the enormous cliff beside him. Kong Guanglin was momentarily startled before replying with a cold stare. "What a maniac you are. If you are ranked among the top 20 outstanding youths, you will be rewarded handsomely every month. Unfortunately, you are not qualified to enjoy such a privilege. Simple. I will just have to defeat you to qualify." Wang Xian had his eyes on Kong Guanglin and spoke calmly in his direction. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. I love your guts. As a consequence of your preposterous challenge, I will cripple your arm. Kong Guanglin laughed at Wang Xian's words, staring at him coldly at the same time. Such arrogance. Senior brother Kong, destroy this kid and let him know how strong MT Julian is. How dare you challenge senior brother Kong? You will soon pay the price for your insolence. The disciples who were following behind Kong Guanglin glared at Wang Xian with contempt. For someone with such mediocre strength, he sure talks big. He does talk big. Challenging Kong Guanglin? I don't know where he finds the confidence to even propose that. Interesting. The Dragon King versus the Phantom Kong Guanglin. The surrounding audience was slightly taken aback by Wang Xian's intention to fight Kong Guanglin, but at the same time, they were thrilled by the proposition. It has been a while since someone showed such arrogance in front of me. That broadsword you wield is a fine piece of weaponry. If you lose, I will get to keep it. Kong Guanglin pointed at Wang Xian with roaring laughter. Today, I, Kong Guanglin, have a new challenger, the Dragon King. Fellow brothers, come witness our fight at the martial peak. Kong Guanglin's voice echoed through the surroundings, and everyone within a radius of 1,000 meters was able to hear him loud and clear. As soon as he finished speaking, he made a loud chuckle and flew towards the martial peak with his sword in hand. Is it true that the winner gets to keep the loser's possessions? As Wang Xian watched Kong Guanglin move towards the peak, his face was beaming. He followed closely behind and flew towards the martial peak as well. What? The Dragon King is challenging Kong Guanglin? Is he trying to court his death? Such arrogance and conceit are as good as courting death. Let us head over and see how Senior Brother Kong oppresses that show-off. Senior Brother Kong will not show any mercy to his opponents. Every one of his moves will be extremely deadly. The disciples of the Scriptures Depository, as well as those from the neighboring peaks, were delighted to hear the voice of Kong Guanglin. One by one they headed towards the martial peak. Even the weakest among the top 20 disciples of the Dahong Immortal sect ranked in the Dan realm. This match between the two experts would undoubtedly be exciting to watch. Wang Xian took a look at the surrounding disciples with a faint smile. It was obvious that Kong Guanglin was here to find trouble with him. But this was exactly what he wanted as well. Boom! Wang Xian landed himself in one of the arenas as he realized that there were at least 50 arenas on Martial Peak. The arena that they were about to compete in was situated near the top of the peak. Kong Guanglin had already entered the arena while he stared at Wang Xian with contempt. The group of Dahong Immortal sect disciples levitated themselves and surrounded the arena. Their faces were filled with excitement. Come, I will teach you a lesson today not to be impudent in front of Dahong Immortal sect. Always stay low profile and humble here. Kong Guanglin raised his broad sword in the direction of the descending Wang Xian. I will let you attack first, he said mockingly. Hear ye. This is exactly how we will educate our new batch of newcomers every time. Things are getting interesting. If the Dragon King is taught a lesson by Kong Guanglin today, then his title will be nothing but a joke in the future. The surrounding crowd mocked Wang Xian, unbridled. Have a taste of my battle technique. Wang Xian said lightly with a faint smile. Channeling water energy into his body, Wang Xian thrust forward with his unsheathed broadsword. Sword edge. Water clone. In an instant, Wang Xian moved his broadsword, bursting water energy and casting two battle techniques at the same time. The water clone, armed with a sword edge, made a slash for Kong Guanglin. The real water clone battle technique did not create a clone that appeared as a blob of bluish water but as an exact clone of Wang Xian. Ha! Water clone. You dare to use the water clone battle technique in front of me, the Phantom? Kong Guanglin saw Wang Xian's battle technique and spoke with disdain in his eyes. With a turn of his body, he generated 5 exact clones of himself. Kill! With a wave of his arm, his water clone started to attack in the direction of Wang Xian's water clone. The two were about 100 meters apart, with eyes on each other. Kong Guanglin slowly formed a smile as his water clones assailed. Poof! 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 But his face soon turned stiff as he realized that his water clones had been easily destroyed without showing any sign of resistance. Sword edge? Excellent! I wasn't expecting your water clone to be controlling a sword edge. An ingenious move. Kong Guanglin showed slight respect for his opponent with his broadsword now unsheathed. Clang! The 10 tiers blade with ripples appearing on its back struck towards sword edge. Chapter 562, Doubting One's Existence. The Dragon King is pretty strong. Using his water clone to control the sword edge, he easily broke through Senior Brother Kong's water clone. He's pretty strong, but it is going to end soon. Senior Brother Kong has gotten serious. He has even started using his 10 tiers blade. Over 500 disciples hovered in the air on their swords around the battle. When the battle started, they had stopped discussing as they watched attentively. Seeing Wang Xian's attack, the surrounding disciples were shocked. However, that remained as such. Senior Brother Kong had gotten serious. If the Dragon King was simply what the rumors had mentioned, there would be no uncertainty in this battle. Every single disciple that was in the top 20 was insanely powerful. Break! Kong Guanglin shouted as he swung his long sword onto the sword edge. Instant shift. Seeing Kong Guanglin's attack, Wang Xian shimmered in blue light. Wang! Instant shift. Where there was water, one could erupt with twice the speed that he typically could achieve. When Kong Guanglin slashed at the sword edge, Wang Xian's body merged with his water clone. Bam! The sword edge was crushed by Kong Guanglin. However, before he could even get excited, a sword scabbard landed on his chest. Bam! What? Kong Guanglin's eyes widened in disbelief as he started spewing blood uncontrollably. Wang Xian walked silently to Kong Guanglin and looked down on him. Creating a rope out of water, he took the long sword in Kong Guanglin's hands away. He also took the bag of approximately 200 spiritual stones away. You! When Kong Guanglin saw Wang Xian taking away his spiritual stones and spiritual longsword, he felt greatly humiliated. Thank you. Wang Xian looked at him and spoke plainly. Subsequently, the longsword he retrieved went below his legs as he took off into the sky. Swish! Wang Xian left the place with the crowd completely dumbfounded. SSS. The surrounding disciples gasped in astonishment as they stared blankly at Kong Guanglin, who was still on the floor. He just lost. Kong Guanglin has just lost. Isn't that a little too darn simple? Is this considered a move or two? Freak. The Dragon King. It isn't just us who are feeling overwhelmed. Even Kong Guanglin must be feeling a little overwhelmed currently. Look. His eyes are dead. As the 20th ranked disciple, he didn't even manage to last 2 moves. The Dragon King is indeed strong. The question is how strong he really is. Damn! He's too strong. When he challenged the other disciples during the day, not a single mountain sect lasted more than 10 seconds. Even Kong Guanglin met the same outcome. I believe his strength would easily place him within the top 10 supreme talents. Where did this monster come from? What he just used was probably sword edge and perhaps instant shift. His speed exploded by several times. It was so fast that I didn't even catch a glimpse of him moving. When Wang Xian's figure disappeared completely from sight, exclamations broke out from the surroundings. In the arena, Kong Guanglin stood up gradually. He still looked a little out of sorts. Did I just lose? I wasn't careless just now and yet I lost. His strength. Kong Guanglin lifted his head and looked in the direction where the figure had disappeared. Suddenly, a helpless feeling welled up within him. When he first heard of the name of the Dragon King today, he had snorted with contempt. When he saw the so-called Dragon King entering the scripture depository, he wanted to teach him a lesson right away. However, he would have never expected this outcome. 10 seconds? Perhaps not even that. Around him, when the disciples saw the desolation in Kong Guanglin's eyes, they were even more astonished. The 20th ranked supreme talent in Dahong Immortal sect was beaten so completely that he started doubting his life. He didn't speak of having a second match ambitiously and he didn't lower his head with shame. Instead, he started doubting his life. The Dragon King will truly be on the rise after this. If he could defeat Kong Guanglin so easily, he would definitely be considered among the ranks of the supreme talents of Dahong Immortal sect. Similarly, he will definitely make it to the top 10. A middle-aged man remarked emotionally while envy beamed in his eyes. After this incident, there would probably not be a single person who would say the Dragon King was a pushover. Once again, a shining disciple had appeared within the Immortal sect. Great. With this level of talents, he isn't any inferior to the top 3 disciples. Hee. Our Dahong Immortal sect is really lucky to have a disciple like him appearing at this juncture. Although the underworld outside is really trashy, we will still have to compete with the other 9 cauldron worlds. Having a supreme talent disciple will definitely be a positive thing. With his strength, it is almost certain that he will rank in the top 10. Yeah, that's about right. Sword edge, water clone and instant shift. Is he a disciple that Mfengyu has been secretly grooming? At the peak of Martial Peak, 2 old men were playing chess. They looked down and commented with a smile. 200 spiritual stones. I wonder what I could buy with spiritual stones in this world. Also, this level 10 inborn spiritual sword can be sold too. I wonder how much it is worth in spiritual stones. Wang Xian thought to himself. He looked in the direction of Mfengyu and flew directly towards it. The reward today was really pathetic. I only got a single spiritual stone. I didn't even get one. The spiritual stones in the spiritual or mine are getting fewer and fewer. We've got to think of other ways to earn spiritual stones soon. Where are you thinking of going? Could it be you are thinking of heading to Yongchang City to work? Would you even be able to get 10 spiritual stones in a month? To buy level 5 spiritual medicine, you would need 200 to 300 spiritual stones. Have you guys forgotten that senior brother Wang Xian has raised the ranking of our Mfengu to 11? Each of us will at least be getting 20 spiritual stones for the coming month. Oh yeah. I had almost forgotten about this. Huh. It's great to have senior brother Wang Xian around. Just as Wang Xian arrived at Mfengu, he heard the conversation between the 6 disciples from Mfengu. Spiritual or mine? Earning spiritual stones? Wang Xian sank into deep thought. Spiritual stones could be used to enhance cultivation. The speed of cultivation using spiritual stones would be 4 to 5 times that of ordinary cultivation. However, cultivation using spiritual stones was highly exhaustive. A spiritual stone would not even last for an entire day of cultivation. Therefore, few disciples were willing to use them for training. Hey guys! Wang Xian looked at the 6 disciples and shouted. Ha! Hey, senior brother Wang Xian! What can we do for you? When the 6 disciples saw Wang Xian, they replied with respect and anxiety. Where can I find the spiritual or mine? Where else could I earn spiritual stones? Wang Xian asked. Oh? Spiritual or mine? The spiritual stone mine can be found behind our Dahong immortal sect. However, it has been excavated for more than 1,000 years. There is almost nothing left in it. A male disciple answered in a hurry. Soon, he continued, to earn spiritual stones and resources, you can also head to Yongchang City to look for a job other than excavating the spiritual or mine. With senior brother Wang Xian's strength, you will be able to get 20 to 30 spiritual stones per month as a mentor. Yongchang City. Are there any equipment refining or elixir pill refining shops in the city? Yeah. If senior brother knows how to refine equipment or elixir pills, it will be even easier to earn spiritual stones. Senior brother, why don't we bring you to Yongchang City for a tour? No thanks. It's all right. Chapter 563, St. Forge Workshop. Yongchang City was a huge and developed city. Most of the old buildings were built from huge black stones and wouldn't be shorter than 20 to 30 meters. Orderly streets crossed, and the most central region of Yongchang City was where 4 main paths merged. At this moment, the entire Yongchang City was still well lit despite it being past 8 p.m. It's so crowded. There are probably 7 to 8 million people in the entire Yongchang City. Wang Xian was astonished by the seemingly boundaryless huge city. While standing in the air, he recalled what the other disciples from Nifengyu had told him. The central region of Yongchang City was the most prosperous area. At the same time, it was where many martial artists gathered. Those who lived in the vicinity were either rich and wealthy families or experts from the 3 immortal sects. Yongchang Immortal Sect, Immortal Slaying Sect, and Dahong Immortal Sect. They had been in Yongchang world for over 1,000 years, and their relationship had become complicated. There were countless occasions of marriage between disciples of these 3 immortal sects, forming countless families that were affiliated with these 3 immortal sects. As a result, there were various families in Yongchang City on top of the 3 immortal sects. These families had the backing of the immortal sects and were established by disciples of these immortal sects. There were also ordinary people in Yongchang City. However, martial artists made up the majority. There were also powerful budding realm experts living within the city. Naturally, there were also immortal realm experts in it. The common currency was largely spiritual stones. In the past, the 3 immortal sects had chosen this piece of bountiful land for Yongchang Cauldron to suppress. It was only natural to expect that the resources available to this place were exceptionally immense. Various spiritual medicine and spiritual equipment was exchanged within Yongchang City. In Yongchang City, one could even get their hands on level 5 and 6 elixir pills. Level 10 spiritual equipment was common, while level 11 spiritual equipment would appear from time to time. As for level 12 spiritual equipment, it could occasionally be found in auctions. This was the powerful and prosperous Yongchang City. Wang Xian arrived at the most central region where the four main paths of Yongchang City merged. He started observing his surroundings. Equipment refining workshops, elixir pills shops, weapons shops and spiritual equipment shops. This place is really prosperous. Wang Xian looked around and headed towards a shop. An inborn spiritual weapon is worth roughly 700 spiritual stones. A level 5 elixir pill is worth roughly 800 spiritual stones. Spiritual flame ball. There are spiritual flame balls for sale here. As Wang Xian walked across the street of shops, he was astonished. In his view, the inborn spiritual weapons and level 5 elixir pills were all relatively cheaper than in the underworld. Perhaps that was because this place had immense resources. Saint Forge Workshop. The disciples from Nifengyu told me that this is the strongest and most reputable place in Yongchang City for refining elixir pills and equipment. This place was established by experts from both Yongchang Immortal Sect and Dahong Immortal Sect. This shall be the place. Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. Just as the other disciples of Nifengyu had said, those who could refine elixir pills or refine equipment were those who could earn spiritual stones and resources the quickest. Wang Xian wasn't thinking of working for the Saint Forge Workshop. Instead, he was thinking of becoming a freelance alchemist or blacksmith of this place. Freelance alchemists and blacksmiths could sign a contract with the Saint Forge Workshop. They would provide you with a certain set of materials in exchange for a fixed amount of spiritual equipment or elixir pills. As for the remaining materials, they were considered as the freelancer's remuneration. For Wang Xian, this was the perfect arrangement. He strongly believed that with his insane origin source arts, he would obtain an unimaginable amount of resources regardless of whether he had chosen equipment refining or elixir pills refining. Not a second to waste. Wang Xian thought to himself as he stepped into the Saint Forge Workshop. Hi, sir, welcome. Are you interested in getting spiritual equipment or elixir pills? When an employee saw Wang Xian stepping in, he immediately welcomed Wang Xian with a faint smile. Hello. Are you guys recruiting alchemists? Wang Xian asked the employee. Alchemist? Are you applying to be an alchemist or an alchemist apprentice? The employee asked Wang Xian. Alchemist. I know about elixir pill refining, Wang Xian replied directly. Please come with me. The employee stole another glance at Wang Xian and felt that Wang Xian was even younger than him. He reminded, it isn't easy to become an alchemist of our Saint Forge Workshop. The minimum grade elixir pills you have to refine is level 3. Moreover, you need to reach a minimum of a 30% success rate. I understand. Wang Xian nodded his head as he followed behind the employee. I've succeeded. Huh. I've succeeded. When he arrived at the back of the shop, Wang Xian could hear exhilarated laughter. Master Xuanhua has really succeeded. I've succeeded. Finally. Although I'm a little ashamed of wasting 10 sets of materials, I've finally succeeded. That's great. Brother Ao, this is a level 12 spiritual weapon. You can now challenge for the number 1 disciple of Dahong Immortal Sect with this water shark. Oh gosh, it's a level 12 spiritual weapon. Many budding realm experts in the sect couldn't afford this either. Behind the store of Saint Forge Workshop, there were 2 extremely broad areas. One was for refining elixir pills while the other was for equipment refining. The area for refining elixir pills was a little further from the Saint Forge Workshop. 5 young men stood before an old man while discussing fervently. In the middle of the group was a beautiful spiritual sword. Master Xuanhua is the strongest master blacksmith in our Saint Forge Workshop. He can even forge level 12 spiritual equipment now. Remember to be courteous when you meet him in the future. When the employee heard their conversation, his eyes beamed with excitement. Creating a single level 12 spiritual weapon after using 11 sets of materials, what a waste of precious materials. Wang Xian looked across and shook his head plainly. Huh. Congratulations, old Hua. This is the second piece of level 12 spiritual equipment you have forged. With your level of forging skills, you could easily rank in the top 5 in the entire Yongchang world. At this moment, a blacksmith heard the commotion and walked out of his room to give his congratulations. There were even some alchemists who went over to congratulate him. Huh. I was lucky. I was lucky. Master Xuanhua smiled contentedly. This was level 12 spiritual equipment. Other than those immortals in Yongchang world, who could possibly forge one? There were definitely less than 2 people and he was one of them. Congratulations. Master Xuanhua could very well be a Grandmaster class blacksmith. 5 to 6 alchemists walked over and congratulated Master Xuanhua. The employee beside Wang Xian saw the alchemists. After their conversation had ended, he walked towards an old man. Master Qingming, there's someone here to apply to be an alchemist. Ha! Who? We are always in need of more alchemists. Master Qingming raised an eyebrow and asked loudly. Master, he's right there. The employee pointed at Wang Xian and spoke with a smile. Ha! Are you sure you are applying to be an alchemist? When Master Qingming saw Wang Xian, he was a little shocked and started scrutinizing him. Yeah. I'm here to apply to become an alchemist. A freelance alchemist. Wang Xian answered Master Qingming directly. There were 2 types of alchemists in Saint Forge workshop. One was internal alchemist while the other was a freelance alchemist. For an internal alchemist, they would receive a fixed amount of spiritual stones each month after passing the assessment. As for freelance alchemist, he would have to collect materials from Saint Forge workshop and submit a fixed amount of elixir pills. If there were materials remaining, Saint Forge workshop would have no claim to them. Chapter 564, Open Shop. The reason why Wang Xian had chosen to apply to be an alchemist was mainly because he wanted to increase his level. With the immense energy within elixir pills, he could increase his level to level 9. Freelance alchemist. Hey kid, you sure are confident of yourself. Master Qingming looked at Wang Xian in shock and said, it's really rare to see an alchemist as young as you are. Wang Xian smiled in response but didn't say a word. When Master Qingming witnessed Wang Xian's composure, he got ready to give him an assessment. He is. Isn't this the Dragon King from Invincible? At this moment, an exclamation sounded from the side. Wang Xian was surprised too and turned his head to look to the side. A young man was observing him inquisitively. He really is. Seeing Wang Xian looking over, the young man's lips curved into a smile. He scrutinized Wang Xian from top to bottom, rubbed his chin and remarked, I don't see any deer horns or dragon whiskers. It would seem that he's not living up to his name. Huh. Xingzhan, you are really hilarious. Deer horns and dragon whiskers. Should he also have a tail? Another young man joked and laughed out loud. Retards. Upon hearing their conversation, a cold light flashed in Wang Xian's eyes as he remarked coldly. Ha! Ha! The group of young men were stunned, including the one who was holding his long sword in his hand. Retard? He just called Xingzhan and the rest retards. At that instant, the smile on the 2 young men stiffened as their eyes went cold. Wang Xian looked away and didn't pay attention to them. People like them would have been crippled by him if they were in the underworld. Hey kid! Do you have the guts to repeat yourself? Xingzhan pulled a long face and glowered at Wang Xian. Wang Xian didn't bother at all. He turned to Master Qingming and asked, Master, can we start the assessment now? Assessment? Sure. Master Qingming glanced at Wang Xian and nodded his head. Really arrogant. Ruthlessness gleamed in the eyes of Xingzhan and the other young man. They exchanged glances and their lips curved into a smirk. Brother Ao, you will have to stand up for us. The two of them turned around and spoke with a smile to the young man holding the sword. You guys are my brothers. The young man with the level 12 spiritual equipment spoke plainly before turning to Master Xuanhua. Master Xuanhua, these two are my brothers. Can you do me a small favor? The young man asked Master Xuanhua with a faint smile. Huh. Since young Master Ao has spoken, this is just a small matter. Master Xuanhua naturally knew what the young man was hinting at. He waved his hand nonchalantly, looked to Master Qingming and said, Old Ming, we are not accepting this alchemist. All right. Since young Master Ao has spoken, it's only natural that we show him face. Master Qingming had no hesitation at all. He smiled, looked at Wang Xian and said plainly, Kid, as you have seen, you have offended those who you shouldn't have. Ha! Wang Xian's eyes squinted together and killing intent gleamed in his eyes. Your name is Dragon King. They have asked you to scram. Why are you still here? Xingjian looked at Wang Xian with ridicule. He walked towards Wang Xian before continuing, let me tell you this. You can forget about joining the Saint Forge workshop in this lifetime. Moreover, I can guarantee that no alchemist workshop will accept you. If you don't believe it, you can give it a try. You are the first person who has dared to scold us. Therefore, you will have to pay a price you never would have expected. The other young man crossed his arms before his chest while staring at Wang Xian. All right. I'll remember this. Wang Xian looked at them emotionlessly. He looked plainly across the five of them, Master Qingming and the rest before heading out. TSK. How ignorant. When we get back, it's time to investigate the background of this Dragon King. Interesting. He actually dares to scold us. This kid probably didn't know who we are. However, ignorance doesn't equate to bliss in our place. If he wishes to find a job as an alchemist, I'll make sure he won't find one in the entire Yongchang city. Huh. Just leave this to me. I have connections with basically all the alchemists in Yongchang city. The group of young men wasn't trying to hide their conversation at all. Fighting is restricted in Yongchang city. If I want to kill them, I can only do so in the arena. When Wang Xian heard their conversation while heading out, he recalled some of the rules of Yongchang city. It seems like I have to raise my level to level 9 soon. Dense killing intent shimmered in Wang Xian's eyes. Even if I can't reach level 9, before I leave this world, I have to. He had etched this incident into his mind. Walking out from the Saint Forge workshop, Wang Xian frowned. He looked to the surrounding weapons shops and elixir pills shops. There were also many shops recruiting alchemists and blacksmiths. However, Wang Xian frowned upon recalling what that alchemist master and blacksmith master had said. Wang Xian had never expected to encounter hurdles in looking for a job as an alchemist and blacksmith. At this moment, he felt a little annoyed. Creak. Move aside. Move aside. Just as Wang Xian was walking forward aimlessly, he heard a shop closing up. Wang Xian lifted his head and looked over. A middle-aged man was putting up a notice on the doors of the shop. Shop for rent. 100 spiritual stones for a month. Wang Xian was taken aback and an idea struck him. He sank into deep thought and soon mumbled, this might work too. Let's give it a try. Wang Xian made up his mind, looked at the middle-aged man and asked, hello, is your shop for rent? Huh? Yeah. Didn't you see it? The middle-aged man was surprised by Wang Xian and pointed to the notice on the door. Can I have a look at the shop? Wang Xian replied directly. You are interested? The middle-aged man scrutinized Wang Xian with doubts. Wang Xian nodded his head and answered, if it's suitable, I'll be renting it. All right, come in and take a look then. The middle-aged man seemed to find Wang Xian a little too young. He hesitated for a moment before nodding his head and opening up the door. Have a look around. This shop has 3 levels and each level is around 25 square meters. The area isn't big but this shop is within the most central region of Yongchang city. 100 spiritual stones for a month is completely reasonable. The middle-aged man opened the door and continued his explanation. There are some tables inside. The highest floor is a bedroom and the bed and cabinets are new. Wang Xian looked around and nodded his head with satisfaction. I'm taking this shop. You really are taking it? I can pay now. Great. Give me a moment. Let's go through the procedures right away. The middle-aged man had not expected the shop to be rented out so easily. Brimming with excitement, he said, "You have to pay 3 months of rent first." All right. Wang Xian nodded his head. After selling the inborn spiritual weapon he got from Kong Guanglin, he paid the rent. Chapter 565, The First Customer, 1. I have a shop now. Next, it's the customers. After Wang Xian and the middle-aged landlord settled the store together, the moon was already up in the sky. Wang Xian took a look at the tiny shop with a satisfied look on his face. He did not want to open a shop in the first place for fear of too much trouble. The alchemy and equipment refining system in the Yongchang world was already matured. Hence, there was no direct sale of spiritual grass and materials. Instead, all the alchemy and equipment refining stores would collect and procure spiritual grass and materials for refining equipment. This prohibited Wang Xian from earning the difference of self-purchasing spiritual grass to refine his own elixir pills. Many things had been monopolized in the small and prosperous Yongchang. No one would need to worry about the materials when going into the store as they could straightaway forge their items. But opening a shop by himself meant that customers would have to prepare all the materials by themselves. But he would not sell elixir pills or weapons, but rather, he would provide a processing service. When customers approached him with materials, he would refine them into elixir pills and spiritual equipment. This would be the first store that provided such a service in the all of Yongchang. He created this type of store not for its uniqueness, but rather, it was a helpless act. If not, I'd have to stay in the shop and wait for business every day. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows, but soon, he straightened out his thoughts. At present, there was nothing to learn in Mdifengyu either. He had already mastered the first level of battle techniques. To learn the second level, he needed to come up with resources for exchange. 2,000 spiritual stones in a day. This was a massive number to any disciple of Dahong Immortal sect. Unless the disciples came from a wealthy background whereby their parents could afford such an amount, ordinary disciples would not be able to cough out 2,000 spiritual stones. There's nothing to do even if I stay in Mdifengyu. Why don't I just inform Mentor Yu? Wang Xian hesitated before he locked up the store and rode off to Dahong Immortal sect on his sword. Mentor Yu, you're still up. Wang Xian came to the living room and was surprised to see Mentor Yu having tea. He hurriedly greeted her in shock. Waiting for you to get back. I did not expect your strength to be so great. Mentor Yu exclaimed as she looked at Wang Xian with glistening eyes. She did not expect that the injured young man she picked up from the waterfall could promote Mdifengyu by 9 positions in one day. It was beyond my expectation too. Wang Xian smiled and did not comment further. Since you beat Kong Guanglin today, cease your individual challenges and mountain sect challenges for the time being, said Mentor Yu. Why? Wang Xian was startled as he looked at Mentor Yu. 10th place is good for us. The disciples of Mdifengyu are not eligible to access the resources for 10th position and below. Besides, making a showy display on your ability might not be a good idea, said Mentor Yu to Wang Xian. Wang Xian revealed a contemplative look as he understood what Mentor Yu was trying to say. Mdifengyu's disciples were weak. If they received resources that were completely unmatched with their own strength, it would trigger grievances and jealousy. Though no one would say anything on the surface, some finger-pointing from the others was inevitable. If a Dan Realm disciple decided to seek trouble from an inborn disciple, that would be an easy job even with Dahong Immortal sect's rules and regulations in place. How about the individual leaderboard? Asked Wang Xian. If you possess the strength of the top 3, you may go ahead and challenge as you wish. Now, You should just slow down and maintain a low profile. Mentor Yu suggested to Wang Xian. I got it, Mentor Yu. I would like to have my cultivation outside for a short period, said Wang Xian as he nodded. Outside? Sure. But you need to return once a week. I'm your mentor, and I'm responsible for you, said Mentor Yu to Wang Xian. Great. Wang Xian nodded. Take a good rest. I'll be claiming our resources for the Mountain Sect and your resources for the 20th position of individual outstanding supreme talents. Mentor Yu exhibited a smile. Yes, Mentor Yu. Wang Xian nodded with gratefulness. Have a good rest. Mentor Yu walked up the stairs as soon as she finished talking to Wang Xian. Wang Xian looked at the disappearing figure and smiled. Mentor Yu was considered to be the closest person to him in this Yongchang world. I must repay her gratitude in the future. Wang Xian pondered to himself. He did not return to his room, but rather headed to Yongchang City on his sword. When he arrived at the marketplace of Yongchang City, Wang Xian did not rest. He went shopping and bought 3 signboards. A horizontal one and 2 vertical ones. On the horizontal one, he engraved Alchemy and Blacksmith Master. The other 2 signboards were used for the introduction. Bring your own materials. Refining pills by an alchemy master. Bring your own materials. Forging by a blacksmith master. Wang Xian revealed a satisfying look as he hung the signboards outside his shop. He then went to purchase some tables, chairs, and tools at night. After 3 hours of work, he finally got the entire shop ready. Now, I'll just wait for business to come. Wang Xian revealed a faint smile and came to the 3rd story to rest. The next morning, he opened the shop early and waited for customers to come in. The daily traffic volume was crazy in the central area of Yongchang City. From early in the morning, there was non-stop human flow in front of the stores on the street. However, no one entered the store. Compared to the shops around him, his shop was tiny. Besides, his decoration was far off from those shops around him. It was a stark contrast, as his shop looked run down. The elixir stores had posh decorations and a refreshing and spirit-lifting herb smell at the entrance, while one could sense sharpness from the other weapon stores even from afar. His shop did not have any features. Alchemy and Blacksmith Master? What a brag! How can such a small store have masters around? Why would such a master reside in such a small place? Now that our spiritual stones are becoming fewer, unscrupulous businessmen are increasing. It's just a tiny, 20-square-meter place, and the signboard puts Alchemy and Blacksmith Master. Pooey! A new shop. This is obviously a scam. If such masters were around, they would hold an opening ceremony. That would naturally draw the attention of the crowd. Scammers! Some passers-by took a peek inside the shop with curiosity when they saw the signboards outside. But after they took a look at the shop, they commented disdainfully. Many people passed by the shop from morning to afternoon. Some people noticed the signboards, but all of them were disdainful and ridiculed them. How is it possible to have a master in a tiny shop like this? Besides, why would masters be staying here? This is typical lousy marketing. Wang Xian was sitting in the shop as he overheard the sarcastic remarks mentioned by the passers-by as they stopped by for a brief moment. However, he was not disheartened and waited patiently. This was his first day of business, and he remained patient. Cream would always rise up to the top. He would make his name known in Yongchang soon. Chapter 566, The First Customer, 2. Saint Forge Workshop couldn't even fix your weapon. They aren't living up to their name. This is just a level 11 weapon. At the entrance of the Saint Forge Workshop, 2 girls walked out from the workshop with disappointed looks. A young girl with 2 ponytails pouted and grumbled unhappily. Bo Yu is too unique and they aren't confident. The main reason is still because we have too few materials. The other girl beside the girl with the ponytails frowned and was clearly a little unhappy. Sister Shui, why don't I get you a piece of level 1 spiritual equipment as a gift? Seeing Sister Shui frowning, the girl with the ponytails held her arm and spoke with a smile. Bo Yu is the most suitable weapon for me. Moreover, this was given to me from my grandma and I have been carrying it for over 20 years. The other girl shook her head. It's all because of that brat from Yongchang Immortals sect. TSK. Sister, you should have trimmed away all his hair. The girl with the ponytails waved her fists angrily. The other girl remained silent and didn't say a word. Her eyes looked in the direction of another forge workshop. What a joke! A small shop like this, and yet they dare to claim they have an alchemist master and a blacksmith master. They are really taking customers as fools. Exactly. Look at this shop. There's nothing in there. No weapons or elixir pills. It must be a scam. At this moment, the girls heard the voices of two middle-aged men. That girl's eyes followed the source of the voice and looked across. Ha! It's just as they have said. What an interesting shop. Alchemist Master and Alchemist Master refining personally for you. Customers to prepare all materials. They sure are arrogant. However, this shop is pathetically small. Isn't this too obvious of a scam? The young girl with the ponytails was also attracted by the conversation of the two middle-aged men. She looked towards the shop and blinked her eyes speechlessly. Why would an alchemist master or a blacksmith master remain in a small shop like this? TSK. The owner is really brainless, the young girl with the ponytails continued and found this to be hilarious. The other girl looked inside the shop and was clearly hesitating. Sister Shui, let's go to Bai Ling Forge Workshop. They also have a famous blacksmith master. The young girl looked away from that shop, pointed to another weapon shop a short distance away and spoke. Ha! However, when she saw the other girl, she realized that the other girl was staring at the shop beside her and was in deep thought. Sister Shui, you can't be thinking that this small little shop really has a blacksmith master, the young girl with ponytails exclaimed. I know the blacksmith master from Bai Ling Forge Workshop. He's a lot weaker than Master Xuanhua. The other girl frowned and walked directly into the shop. Sister Shui, you. How can you even believe the notice outside this shop? The young girl with ponytails shouted but still followed behind. I'm just thinking of giving it a try. It wouldn't take up much time either. The other girl insisted and walked ahead. She was just hoping for a miracle. Alright. If there isn't any blacksmith master in this shop, I'll report this shop and seal it up, the young girl with the ponytails exclaimed as she pouted and walked into the shop. Ha! Customer. Wang Xian was seated in the shop while manipulating small water clones in his hands when he saw the two girls walking in. He lifted his head and stood up. Does this shop have a blacksmith master? When the girls stepped into the shop, they looked around before their attention fell on Wang Xian. Yeah! Wang Xian looked at the girls and eventually at the short sword in the girl's hand. He was able to tell that the short sword wasn't ordinary from a single glance at the scabbard. Where's the blacksmith master? The young girl by the side asked Wang Xian immediately. What kind of weapons are you two interested in forging? Do you two have the materials? As long as you have sufficient materials, I'm 100% certain of successfully forging level 12 spiritual equipment and below. Wang Xian looked at the young girl with ponytails as he replied. TSK. What a reassuring tone, the young girl pouted. Where's the blacksmith master? No matter how I look at it, your shop just seems like a scam to me. Swish. The other girl pulled out the short sword from the scabbard. The short sword was as light as a feather and as white as snow. The entire blade was as thick as a piece of paper and seemingly transparent. However, the tip of the blade was chipped off. Level 11 spiritual weapon. The name of the sword is Bo Yu. Can you restore it? The other girl asked directly. Restore? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow and took Bo Yu from the other girl. Where are the materials? Wang Xian asked directly. Bingy metal. The other girl took out a piece of metal that was a little transparent. Bingy metal, level 12. What a waste of precious materials. Wang Xian mumbled softly when he saw the piece of metal in the girl's hand. Ha! What do you mean by wasting precious materials? When the young girl with ponytails heard Wang Xian, she questioned him right away. She had seen Wang Xian as a scammer all along, using level 12 materials to forge a level 11 weapon. That's obviously a waste of precious materials. Wang Xian spoke to the young girl with ponytails. Can you restore it? The other girl frowned and asked. The truth was she wasn't harboring high hopes on it. So what if we are using level 12 materials to forge a level 11 spiritual weapon? The young girl with ponytails retorted and was seemingly looking down on Wang Xian for not understanding. Yes. As for remuneration, Wang Xian nodded his head and observed the materials in the girl's hand. He was estimating the amount that would be left before assessing if he would require further remuneration. 2,000 spiritual stones. As long as you can restore it, I can give you 2,000 spiritual stones. Before Wang Xian answered, the girl interrupted. Ha! Wang Xian raised an eyebrow and said, all right. The remaining materials will belong to me. All right. The girl didn't hesitate for a moment as she stared fervently at Wang Xian. That's only if you can restore my bow. You get your spiritual stones ready and give me 10 minutes. Wang Xian took the Bingy metal from the girl and went to the second floor right away. This. The young girl with ponytails looked at the back view of Wang Xian with doubts and mumbled, is the alchemist master on the higher floors? Let's wait for 10 minutes, the other girl said to the young girl. I keep having the feeling that this shop is a little strange and weird. The young girl mumbled on. After which, she looked around and continued, there aren't even chairs for customers to rest in. What kind of wretched shop is this? The other girl also frowned. However, she wasn't worried that this shop was up to something. No one dared to scam her, Piao Lingxue. Who would have thought that my first business would be so lucrative? 2,000 spiritual stones and the remaining materials. Wang Xian went to the second floor and his eyes were beaming with excitement. It would seem that opening this shop was the right decision after all. Looking at the bow-yu sword in his hands, Wang Xian's lips curved into a smile. Art of water refining. Wang Xian waved his arm and sat on the floor. A pool of water energy surfaced before him as he threw bow-yu sword on it. Ding! Would you like to use the origin source water to refine spiritual equipment? At this moment, the notification of the system popped up, making Wang Xian smirk. Refine! At that moment, scorching heat was emitted from his body. The origin source water was boiling at an incredible temperature. This was an application of water energy and was known as boiling water. Using the art of water refining to refine equipment was the equivalent of refining with boiling water. Chapter 567, The Two Shocked Girls, 1. Water has a temperature limit, but the temperature will rise when oil is added. Everything melts in the form of water. The art of water refining has great demand for strength and energy. Wang Xian looked at the melting bow-yu sword as he revealed a smile. The usual blacksmith master with art of water refining would require an immense amount of energy to melt bow-yu sword slowly. This could probably take up to an hour or two. Even so, many water refining blacksmith masters required spiritual objects like a spiritual liquid ball to support the work. But not Wang Xian. His origin source of water and the system worked like plugins. Bow-yu sword is as light as a feather that slices with sharpness. However, there's a drawback to its hardness. If the hardness of the sword can be enhanced, this sword will become a level 12 spiritual sword. Wang Xian pondered to himself with a relaxed expression. Given his current strength, it was an easy job for him to refine a level 11 weapon using art of water refining. Dismantle. Melt. Combine. Wang Xian went according to the tip of the art of water refining and began the repair. Art of water refining had a significant disadvantage as it could only solidify melted metal once. That is to say, the performance of the metal might be reduced if it is repeatedly dissolved and refined. Based on this characteristic, the success rate of art of water refining was far lower than the art of inferno refining. However, this did not pose a problem to Wang Xian either. This was because the origin source water was able to keep the metal properties despite repeatedly dissolving it. Just like how he'd done while refining the elixir pills, the origin source flame could ensure that the effectiveness of the pills remained. Wang Xian did not know if this was because of the system or the origin source water. In any case, it was sick. Done. Within 5 minutes, the Boyu sword was completely fixed. Wang Xian exhibited a smile and looked at the remaining materials. The remaining material was of a palm size and weighed about a kilogram or so. Obviously, it was not enough to refine another short sword. Since that girl is rich, why don't I? Radiance flickered in Wang Xian's eyes as he smiled while looking at the remaining material. I can make some thin weapons like hidden weapons. That would make this a real Boyu sword. Wang Xian looked at the hilt. The hilt was not made of Bingyi metal, but laterite stones that were level 11 material, and it was smaller than the average hilts. Wang Xian looked at the hilt and drew his lips slightly. Immediately, he dug out 6 layers on the hilt with art of water refining. Every layer was so thin that it could only fit a piece of paper. Wang Xian took out the remaining Bingyi metal and began to forge Boyu swords. However, the 6 Boyu swords did not have any hilts and were over 10 times smaller than the girl's Boyu sword. Each one of them was only the size of 2 fingers, yet the sharpness and grade were not any lower than the original Boyu. Soon, the 6 mini, hilt-less Boyu swords appeared in the hands of Wang Xian. Next, I'll make it a set, and the mini Boyu swords can return to the sword when triggered. In the records of art of water refining, not only did a suit have a low-grade connection of energy like the devil wings and devil shadow masks made by Wang Xian, but also a spiritual connection. Spirituality could be understood as the magnetic field in modern terms. This is the principle of magnetic attraction. Art of water refining called it the spiritual complement, which was more troublesome. It looks like it will take another 10 minutes. Wang Xian pondered, but he was not bothered by it as he continued with his craft. 10 minutes is up, why isn't that guy coming down? At this time, the young girl looked at the timer on her wrist and remarked impatiently downstairs. The girl furrowed her brows slightly. It's been 10 minutes already. Obviously, he can't fix Boyu. If he can't fix it, why did he say 10 minutes? Is he playing games with us? The more I see this shop, the more I feel it's unreliable. The young girl scanned around and noticed that there were no valuable items around. Suspiciously, she speculated, Sister Shui, do you think this shop is a scam? Even though your Boyu is damaged, its value is still quite high. The girl's eyebrows locked even more tightly upon hearing the young girl's comments. With a flash of blue radiance, she immediately went upstairs to check it out. He's still here, said the girl with relief. This is odd. Why would a master stay in such a rundown shop? The young girl pouted as she complained. However, what the young girl had just said stunned her. Slowly, her expression darkened. She immediately went upstairs again with flickering blue radiance on her body. There was only one person around. She was certain about it. Be it the second or the third story, there was only one young man around. The expression on the girl's face gradually turned awful. What's wrong, Sister Shui? Sensing something wrong with her, the young girl quickly asked her this. There's only a young man in the entire shop and no one else, the girl replied with a sullen face. What do you mean? The girl was confused, but subsequently, she jumped. Sister Shui, are you saying that there's only a lad over here, and no other masters around? Yes, I don't sense the presence of other people. Unless, the girl darkened her expression with flickering radiance in her eyes. Unless he's the blacksmith master. He's a blacksmith master. How is this possible? How old is he? All the masters have to be deeply involved in the field of blacksmith and alchemy for decades and centuries. Even the most talented alchemy master, O Zimming, could only forge level 10 spiritual weapons at the age of 40. The young girl spoke at the top of her lungs. Alchemy and blacksmith were not easy subjects to master. It was way more complicated than cultivation. As the most skilled sect among the three immortal sects, the most outstanding blacksmith of Yongchang Immortal Sect could only forge level 10 spiritual weapons at age 40. Even so, he was known to be the future blacksmith master, the blacksmith genius of Yongchang Immortal Sect of the last 1,000 years. It was possible for him to reach the realm of a grand master too. But how old was that lad? He might just be over his 20s. This is an unscrupulous shop. It must be. The young girl was furious. On her little face, her long lashes were fluttering in anger. Clang! She drew out an exquisite belt sword immediately. Sister Shui, let's go. We'll go up and teach this unscrupulous owner a lesson. How dare he cheat us? Doesn't he know our names in Yongchang City? The girl showed some hesitation before she nodded her head slowly. Bo Yu sword was a sword she had been carrying around since she started her cultivation. It was extremely important to her. She did not think that the lad in the shop, who was in his 20s, could be a blacksmith master. Chapter 568, The Two Shocked Girls, 2. Scammer up there, you better get down here right away. The young girl with ponytails held her belt sword and resembled a furious kitten. While walking up furiously, she shouted. Ha! Wang Xian retrieved the last Bo Yu sword from it and revealed a satisfied expression. In the end, he heard the shouts of the young girl with ponytails right away. Wang Xian raised an eyebrow. There's nothing up here in this wretched place. Where's the blacksmith master? At this moment, the young girl with ponytails appeared on the second floor. She walked into the room where Wang Xian was while observing the surroundings. Other than 2 tables and 2 benches, there was nothing else on the second floor. Hey, scammer! What tricks are you up to? The young girl with ponytails held her sword at Wang Xian as she demanded, where's Sister Shui's Bo Yu sword? Behind the young girl with ponytails, the other girl was clearly unhappy when she saw the short sword in Wang Xian's hands was still kept within the scabbard. You are here at the right time. It's done. Wang Xian wasn't bothered by the young girl's fury as he threw the Bo Yu sword to the other girl. It's done. The other girl was doubtful as she caught her short sword. Swish! A crisp sound reverberated as the short sword was drawn from the scabbard. Ha! Ha! 2 exclamations broke out as the girls looked at the Bo Yu sword. Swish! As she swung her arms around lightly, snowflake-like miniature Bo Yu swords appeared on the main Bo Yu sword. It's restored. Oh my god! It's really restored. The other girl beamed with excitement as she moved her hands over the previously broken spot with disbelief. Sister Shui, this. Is it really fixed? The young girl with ponytails by the side was astonished as she stared blankly at the Bo Yu sword in the other girl's hands. It's indeed Bo Yu sword. Moreover, there's no difference from the one I'd been using previously. The other girl was agitated. She moved her palm slightly and controlled Bo Yu sword to rotate it above her palm. Snowflake-like miniature Bo Yu swords appeared, making it extremely captivating. Ah! Something isn't right with the sword hilt. At this moment, the other girl felt something amiss with her Bo Yu sword. She grabbed onto the hilt of the sword right away as she examined the hilt immediately. Doubt flashed in her eyes. Did he do something to it? As I said, he's definitely up to something. This is a scam. A scam. The young girl with ponytails rumbled on instantly and stared harshly at Wang Xian. Bo Yu sword has indeed been restored. Wang Xian faced the young girl with ponytails and continued, as for the sword hilt, there are 6 layers in it which I can restore anytime you wish. I was wondering if this lady here is interested in purchasing some weapons. As he spoke, his gaze shifted to the other girl. bow you sword has indeed been restored. As for the sword hilt, it's not a huge matter. It's just. The other girl lifted her head and looked at Wang Xian with shock and doubt. What are you trying to sell me? Give me the sword. Wang Xian extended his hands towards the girl as he spoke. The girl didn't hesitate at all and handed Bo Yu's sword to Wang Xian. Wang Xian shifted his palm and the 6 miniature Bo Yu swords, roughly the size of 2 fingers, shot into the sword's hilt. He held Bo Yu's sword in his hand before swinging it. Wang! The Bo Yu sword was triggered and 6 miniature Bo Yu swords shot ahead. The next moment, they rotated and returned to the Bo Yu sword. The entire process lasted for only seconds. Wang Xian held the Bo Yu sword upright and manipulated the 6 miniature Bo Yu swords to circle around the main sword. I have used the remaining materials to forge 6 level 11 miniature Bo Yu swords. These miniature Bo Yu swords can form a set with the main sword. In battle, you could have more variations in attacks. Wang Xian explained. The next moment, he flicked the 6 miniature Bo Yu swords away. Wang! Just as the miniature Bo Yu swords fell on the ground, the main Bo Yu sword dazzled in blue light. The next moment, the 6 miniature swords returned to the main sword. I wonder if this lady is interested in purchasing these 6 miniature swords. Wang Xian looked at the girl and spoke with a smile. This. At this moment, the girl was dumbfounded. Her eyes were fixed on the miniature swords circling around the main Bo Yu sword. Astonishment was written all over her face. This. You. She was incoherent. She knew clearly after using the Bo Yu sword for over 20 years. Now that there were 6 additional miniature Bo Yu swords, just the attacking aspect would be several times stronger. Moreover, these 6 miniature swords were all level 11 spiritual equipment. Level 11 spiritual equipment. Although weapons used for sneak attacks were relatively cheaper, that was only a relative concept. Level 11 spiritual equipment was still level 11 spiritual equipment. The most crucial point was Wang Xian had made the 6 miniature Bo Yu swords to be a set with the main Bo Yu sword. Naturally, she knew how incredibly strong set weapons were. An entire set of weapons could greatly enhance one's strength. Although the 6 miniature swords were different from the typical armor-type equipment, they could still greatly enhance her attacking potency. These were all created by you. When the girl spoke, she immediately realized how dumb her question was. There was no one else other than him in the entire shop. Just a while ago, they were still doubting if this was all just a scam. This young man is a blacksmith master. Moreover, he's a great blacksmith master. Astonishment flashed across the eyes of the girl. She had seen many geniuses and supreme talents in Yongchang world. In fact, she was widely regarded as one of them. Yet, she was still deeply shocked to see such a young blacksmith master. How long had it been? Just over 10 minutes. In this period, he had restored her spiritual sword. This was something that the famous Master Xuanhua couldn't even restore. What was the most insane was that he had even forged 6 other miniature swords to make them into a set. This incredible refining technique was comparable to the work of God. What do you think? Upon hearing that girl, Wang Xian smiled and responded. What? You really are a blacksmith master? The young girl with ponytails widened her eyes as she stared with disbelief at Wang Xian. A young man like him is a blacksmith master? This isn't a scam. Instead, this was a shop opened by an insanely incredible blacksmith master. Would this lady like to purchase these 6 miniature swords? Sensing the fervent looks on the girl, Wang Xian asked once again with a smile. Yes. Quote me a price. Just as he finished his question, the girl answered resolutely. The value of a set of weapons isn't comparable to ordinary spiritual equipment after all. However, you are my first customer. I'll charge you the market rate for each miniature sword. Wang Xian replied to the girl directly. Market price? All right. The girl nodded her head without a moment of hesitation. Purchasing these swords at the market price was definitely a great deal. Level 11 equipment used for ambushing is roughly 5,000 spiritual stones each. Since there are 6, it will be 30,000 spiritual stones. As Wang Xian spoke, excitement beamed in his eyes. Chapter 569, Demon-like Master, 1. 30,000 spiritual stones for just any business that dropped by. If the shop had such good businesses in the future, he could earn even more spiritual stones. Perhaps 100,000 a day. In that way, upgrading the Dragon Palace would be a piece of cake, not to mention enhancing his own strength. A tinge of excitement flashed in Wang Xian's eyes as he stared at the girl in front of him with a beaming face. 30,000 spiritual stones? The girl paused as 30,000 was a hefty amount. However, she was determined to get the 6 miniature bow swords. What is it? Can't you afford it? Wang Xian frowned slightly and asked her. This is way too expensive. 30,000 spiritual stones. Who could take them out in one shot? Besides, the material you used for making these miniature swords were from Sister Xue. You're way too cunning. At most, we'll offer 10,000 spiritual stones. Upon hearing the price that Wang Xian quoted, the young girl immediately resented him. Taking out 30,000 spiritual stones in one shot was really difficult for them. After all, they were consumables, which most people used to buy weapons and elixir pills for enhancing their strength. There's another way. You can use materials that are equivalent in value to exchange for it. Regardless of whether they're refining materials or spiritual grass, they are fine. Wang Xian proposed this to them. Exchanging it with materials would be better. Compared to giving him the spiritual stones, Wang Xian was more inclined to receive materials. Give me some preparation time, said the girl as she nodded slightly toward Wang Xian. Sure. Wang Xian nodded. With a swing, he took the 6 miniatures bow swords back and stretched out his arm. Pay me the spiritual stones for the restoration of the bow sword first. The girl was slightly taken aback while the other young girl was staring at Wang Xian with a startled look. Phew! The girl took a deep breath as she handed Wang Xian the spiritual stones which she had been prepared for. She looked at him and said, I'm Piao Lingxue. You can be assured that I won't owe you any money. I'm running a small business, no credit allowed, said Wang Xian with a smile. As Wang Xian received the spiritual stones, he was surprised to hear her name. Piao Lingxue, the number 2 on the Young Supreme Talents ranking of Dehong Immortal Sect. Her strength had reached the budding realm. Yet, this lady looked to be at most 30 years old. She looked like one favored by the gods. Hey, you, Sister Xue already said she won't owe you any spiritual stones. She means it. What's wrong with you? The young girl pointed at Wang Xian with discontent and said, Isn't the name of my sister worth 30,000 spiritual stones? Wang Xian chuckled. My business is not good. So I don't take credit. How can the business of a blacksmith master be bad? Piao Lingxue commented with indignation. She, Piao Lingxue, was one of the top-notch talented girls in Yongchang world. In other places, the name Piao Lingxue could be worth over 10,000 spiritual stones or even more than that if she ever wanted to take on credit. Yet, this young man totally disregarded it. It's bad. You guys can see it with your own eyes. As such, come and collect your 6 miniature swords whenever you have the spiritual stones. Wang Xian shook his head at her. Then, the young girl rolled her eyes and said, If we refer some business to you, can we get a discount on the spiritual stones? Oh? Refer some business? Wang Xian was taken by surprise. He immediately replied, Sure, if the business value is relatively high, I can give you a discount of thousands or up to 10,000 spiritual stones. Great, I have your word on it. The young girl squinted her eyes, revealing a lovely dimple. She tugged Piao Lingxue by the arm. Don't you eavesdrop. We'll go down now. The young girl pointed at Wang Xian and grabbed Piao Lingxue's arm. She whispered, Sister Shua, we can refer disciples in our mountain sect to him since this cheapskate fellow is a blacksmith master. It's not easy to find one. Besides, this silly fellow doesn't have any business. If we bring out his reputation, the girls in the sects will readily agree to it. They are probably wishing for this. Upon hearing how the young girl addressed Wang Xian, Piao Lingxue smiled with flickering radiance in her eyes. Indeed. Average disciples are not qualified to get a blacksmith master to forge their spiritual weapons. There was a cunning look in Piao Lingxue's eyes. She did not know why this blacksmith master was in such a miserable state, but this was beneficial to her. Master! Piao Lingxue called out to the second floor as she craned her head. What is it? Wang Xian walked down from the second floor and looked at them. I'll go back to gather the spiritual stones, and refer you some customers. What is your closing time? Asked Piao Lingxue to Wang Xian. I'll always be here, said Wang Xian to the two girls. Great, we'll be right back. Piao Lingxue nodded as she headed outside with the young girl. Refer me more customers for refining elixir pills too. I'll give you more of a discount. Wang Xian's voice came from behind. Piao Lingxue paused for a while with a cold face. To think that she was the most talented girl of Embark Immortal sect. Now she became someone who needed to rely on such a method for some spiritual stones discount. Her face was blushing slightly as she felt embarrassed. You said it. Wait for us. The young girl, on the other hand, was very excited. Sister Shua, let's gather all the disciples who need to forge their weapons and refine elixir pills. And then, Hayak, let's just take the 6 miniature swords for free. The young girl clenched her fists with an excited look. She spoke with a resolution. I want this cheapskate fellow to vomit blood. Customers for elixir pills? Don't tell me this guy knows alchemy too. Could he be an alchemist master? No, that couldn't be possible. After Piao Lingxue calmed down, she recalled what Wang Xian had said. Unlike the young girl, she was not silly or naive. However, it was hard for her to believe that he was a master of alchemy too. To become a blacksmith master for a guy in his 20s was already sick enough. How could he be an alchemy master too? Forget it, we'll find out in due time. Piao Lingxue's eyes gleamed as she looked at her bow yu in her hand. She was in a chirpy mood as she headed to Embark with the young girl on their swords. Embark, the mountain sect in second placing among the Hong Immortal sect, was a unique sect as all their disciples were female. Embark never took in male disciples. As the number 2 mountain sect among the Hong Immortal sects, the disciples were incomparable with those from Embark. There were over 200 female disciples. No one dared to provoke any girls from Embark in the entire De Hong Immortal sects or even in the Yongchang world. Not only because the leader, Piao Lingxue, was strong, but also because they had many admirers. Embark was 4 or 5 times larger than Embark. In the evening, the entire Embark was unusually lively. Disciples of other mountain sects such as Immortal Slaying Sect and Yongchang Immortal Sect were all present. Chapter 570, Demon-like Master, 2. The entire Embark was the liveliest place in the Hong Immortal Sect. Countless female disciples were cultivating and practicing on the training field. There were also disciples from other mountain sections. Some of them were even graciously guiding the female disciples. Embark was able to rank second among mountain sects because they had the true strength to support their ranking instead of relying on the privileges of female disciples. One could easily tell from the strength of Piao Lingxue. Wanbai, inform Bailing, Beibei, and the rest. Ask them to gather those disciples who are interested. I'll be bringing all my spiritual stones here first. When the two girls arrived at Embark, Piao Lingxue spoke to the young girl, Wanbai. Alright, Sister Shua. I'll look for Sister Bailing and Sister Beibei while you go get your spiritual stones. Wanbai smiled and nodded her head. The next instant, she took off on her sword towards the peak of Embark before shouting down, Hey sisters, did anyone see Sister Bailing and Sister Beibei? Junior sister Wanbai. Junior sister Wanbai. When the crowd heard Wanbai's voice, they lifted their heads with smiles. Several young men from other sects also greeted her with smiles. Mu Wanbai was from the Mu family. Other than the immortals in Yongchang world, her family was ranked in the top 5. Moreover, the dorky Mu Wanbai was really adorable. Senior sister Bailing and senior sister Bebe are at that mountain peak. Some really handsome guys from Yongchang Immortal sect are here looking for them, a female disciple shouted in response to Mu Wanbai. There are dogs trying to woo them. Mu Wanbai mumbled to herself before she left on her sword. Dogs? Upon hearing Mu Wanbai, the disciples from various mountain sects could feel the edges of their mouths twitching uncontrollably. Sister Bailing, Sister Bebe. Mu Wanbai flew to the other mountain peak. She saw 7 to 8 sisters from the mountain sect and 3 young men wearing outfits from Yongchang Immortal sect. Wanbai. When the group saw Mu Wanbai, they smiled and asked, "Where's great senior sister?" She went to get some stuff from her room and she will be here right away. Mu Wanbai descended on the peak and stole a few glances at the disciples from Yongchang Immortal sect while speaking. Sister Bailing, Sister Bebe. Come. Follow Sister Shua and I to Yongchang City in a while. That. Sister Bei, aren't you thinking of refining spiritual equipment? Get the materials required ready. What's the matter, Wanbai? The girl who was addressed as Bebe looked at Mu Wanbai curiously. It's a grave matter. Where should I start? Mu Wanbai tilted her head and said, Sister Shua and I will be bringing you to a cheapskate master. Let's see if any other senior or junior sisters require refining of elixir pills or equipment. Master? What master? Several female disciples around Bebe were taken aback. Even those young disciples from Yongchang Immortal sect were curious. A blacksmith master. If we introduce business to him, he will reduce the fees for Sister Shue to purchase her spiritual swords. Mu Wanbai said. Blacksmith master. Introduce business. The crowd was taken aback. Blacksmith master. Introduce business. That felt a little strange. Would a blacksmith master require others to introduce business to him? Yep. Mu Wanbai nodded her head and continued, he's a cheapskate blacksmith master. Sister Shue will be here soon. Get all the other senior sisters and junior sisters. Gather all those who want to refine equipment and elixir pills over. Junior sister Mu Wanbai, are you sure he's a blacksmith master? The reason why we are here today is because we have convinced senior brother O Ziming. He has agreed to help refine spiritual equipment for disciples of Mt Shui. As for refining elixir pills, you can leave it to senior brother Yifeng. At this moment, several young men from Yongchang Immortal sect frowned and explained to Mu Wanbai. Wanbai, senior brother Yifeng has agreed to refine elixir pills for the disciples of our Mt Shui. This is a valuable opportunity. Bailing pulled Mu Wanbai aside, looked at one of the young men and spoke to her. Ha! Senior brother Yifeng. Senior brother O Ziming. Mu Wanbai was taken aback as she looked at the prideful group of young men. The young man lifted his head slightly. He was wearing exquisite red armor which emitted dense fire energy. Despite facing everyone, he still looked as proud as a peacock. Senior brother Yifeng. Mu Wanbai exclaimed. Yifeng was a descendant of an immortal in Yongchang Immortal sect. Although he was the 10th generation, he was still a descendant of an immortal. At the same time, Yifeng was known for his incredible alchemy skills. He could refine level 5 elixir pills. His reputation could even match O Ziming. And he was only in his 30s. Yeah! Yifeng nodded his head plainly at Mu Wanbai, still looking as prideful as ever. Sister Bailing. Senior brother Yifeng has just been able to refine level 5 elixir pills. Level 5 elixir pills are only effective for inborn level disciples. For Dan realm disciples, only level 6 elixir pills would be useful. Mu Wanbai said to the 2 tall girls by her side. Senior brother Yifeng will be able to borrow the Wan Pill Cauldron from his family for the next month. His success rate for level 5 elixir pills will be 40%. Moreover, he has a certain chance of successfully refining level 6 elixir pills with the effects of the Wan Pill Cauldron, a young man from Yongchang Immortal Sect added with a smile. Wan Pill Cauldron. Mu Wanbai gasped. That was a level 13 alchemy furnace used by immortals. When used for refining elixir pills, the success rate would be greatly enhanced. However, Mu Wanbai turned around and said, Sister Bebe, Sister Bailing. That guy in Yongchang City is really incredible. Sister Shue's Bo Yu was restored by him. Moreover, he used the remaining materials to forge 6 level 11 hidden weapon type spiritual weapons. Sister Shue couldn't afford them. However, that guy said he could reduce the price a little if Sister Shue introduces customers to him. That guy restored Great Senior Sister's Bo Yu sword. Upon hearing her, Bebe and Bailing were astonished. They also knew Great Senior Sister's Bo Yu sword was chipped. It was exceptionally difficult to restore. They were shocked that the guy was able to restore it and curious about the identity of that guy. Yeah. He's an extreme cheapskate. Mu Wanbai nodded her head and continued, however, that guy is really incredible. He is a blacksmith master despite being just in his 20s. A blacksmith master in his 20s? That's not possible. Before Mu Wanbai could finish her words, senior brother Yifeng interrupted with a definitive tone. Yeah. It's impossible to become a blacksmith master in one's 20s. How can there be such a young blacksmith master? Our senior brother O Ziming is already regarded as a 1 in 1,000 years blacksmith genius for being able to refine inborn spiritual equipment. How can there be a blacksmith master in his 20s? It wasn't just the few disciples from Yongchang Immortal Sect who snorted. Even Bebe, Bailing and other female disciples of Empty Shui couldn't believe it as they shook their heads. Although I don't believe he's a blacksmith master either, the truth is the truth. Sister Shue's Bo Yu sword was indeed restored by him. Seeing that the group didn't believe her, Mu Wanbai pouted and added this remark. Are you sure? A blacksmith master in his 20s? Putting aside Yongchang world, there's not a single person who became a blacksmith master at this age. Senior brother Yifeng snorted with indignance. Chapter 571, Demon-like Master, 3. One could only be called a master if they topped the world in any domain. The female disciples of Empty Shui would not believe that someone in his 20s had become a blacksmith master, let alone those few Yongchang youths. I'm saying the truth. Sister Shue's Bo Yu was fixed there. If you don't believe me, you can ask her when she gets here. Mu Wanbai argued in fury as some did not believe her. It's not that we don't believe you, but who would ever believe a blacksmith master of such a young age? Bei Ling and Bei Bei said as they quickly tugged Mu Wanbai's arm. Humph. You will know it when you're there. I didn't believe that lad is a blacksmith master either, but it is true. Feeling bitter, Mu Wanbai did not bother to explain any more. All right. Bei Bei soon gave a smile. She nodded and said, we'll get our sisters to prepare the materials for equipment refining. But why do we have to bring along the spiritual grass for refining elixir pills? The shop is called Master of Alchemy and Blacksmith. He said that the more customers he has to refine elixir pills, the more the spiritual stones will be discounted, Mu Wanbai replied. Master of Alchemy and Blacksmith? That shop has a master who can refine elixir pills too. Yifeng said with a look of irony in his eyes. Great Senior Sister is here. At this time, a female disciple called out. Instantly, everyone looked ahead after being stunned briefly. You can ask Sister Shui anything you want to know, said Mu Wanbai as she pouted her lips with her gaze brushing over Yifeng. Piao Ling Xue. Yifeng and several Yongtsong youths looked in the direction where the lady was coming from with solemn expressions. She was wearing clothes that were as white as snow. Her long hair spread behind her and she had a cold expression on her face. She truly looked like a fairy. In fact, to be called a fairy was still an understatement. Being an expert of the budding realm in her 30s, almost no other femme was comparable to her in the entire Yongchang world. Even Yi Feng had to put his arrogance away upon seeing Piao Lingxue. She was a true blue expert after all, an expert who had the potential to become an immortal. Great senior sister. Senior Piao Lingxue. All empty Shui disciples immediately greeted Piao Lingxue with cupped fists. The youths of the Yongchang immortal sect cupped their fists as well. Piao Lingxue responded with a nod. Wan Bai, I suppose you have told everyone about it? Great senior sister, is that blacksmith master really in his 20s? Bei Ling could not hold herself back from asking Piao Lingxue. Indeed, it is quite unimaginable. Piao Lingxue nodded with her arms slightly shaken. Her bow-yu sword unsheathed itself and was suspended before her eyes. He fixed my spiritual sword and used the Bingyi metal to construct 6 subsidiary swords. I must get my hands on those swords. So it's true. Astonishment could be seen on the faces of every disciple, including Bei Ling and Bei Bei. If this came from the great senior sister herself, it should be true then. Sister Bei Ling, Sister Bei Bei, why would I lie to you? Mu Wanbei said in a snorting manner. There's really a master in his 20s? Yi Feng frowned and asked with doubts. You'll see for yourself when you get there. Piao Lingxue did not explain further and said, it is a fortune for all disciples of Empty Shui to have a blacksmith master to refine our weapons. Please check and see if any other disciple would like to go. One more thing. Piao Lingxue said with a frown. Please ask around if there is any disciple who needs to refine their elixir pills, and get them to prepare all necessary materials. Yes, great senior sister, we shall go and ask around now. Bei Ling, Bei Bei, and the other female disciples nodded and headed off. Adam Shui, the position of a great senior sister was comparable to a mentor. The abilities of the two were almost on par with each other. While some female disciples went around alerting the others, the Yongchang youths were slightly embarrassed. In particular, Yi Feng, who held a gloomy look on his face. Their aim was to befriend Empty Shui. It took them great effort to persuade Senior O Ziming, and on top of that, Yi Feng had a crush on Bei Ling. However, little did they expect that a so-called master would be revealed. Senior Yi Feng, what should we do? We shall tag along and meet this master. Yi Feng answered with no hesitation after one of the youths of the Yongchang immortal sect posed a question. Even if such a blacksmith master does exist, I am not convinced that he's an alchemist. He raised his head slightly, showing intense self-confidence on his face. I, Yi Feng, fear no one. Not a single alchemy master in the entire Yongchang is unknown to me. That's right. There's no one in the entire Yongchang world able to compare themselves to our senior when it comes to alchemy, said several Youthchang youths with smiles on their faces. Great senior sister, all sisters are ready. They became excited upon hearing about the existence of a master of alchemy and blacksmithing. Bei Ling and Bei Bei spoke with smiles on their faces. Within 20 minutes, they had reported back to Piao Lingxue. Initially, the disciples of Empty Shui were already delighted to spend time with those youths from Yongchang. But it did not cross their minds that the great senior sister would be taking them on a trip to meet a master. An ordinary disciple would have to pay a huge price to refine spiritual equipment from a master. These female disciples were not qualified to do such a thing. All right, let's go. Upon seeing a group of 50 to 60 female disciples with materials in their hands, Piao Lingxue smiled and rode on her sword. She flew towards the direction of the Yongchang city. The other disciples followed behind her. However, it was not just those 60 people who followed behind, but rather around 80 people. Amongst them were other Empty Shui disciples who were just curious and youths of other sects who just wished to tag along. It was already nightfall when Piao Lingxue left Wang Xian's shop. Adding up all the traveling time and delays, it was already approximately 7 p.m. With the sky turned dark, it did not attract much attention as the disciples flew towards Yongchang city. It took them just 20 minutes to reach the vicinity of the city. Senior Piao Lingxue, where's that master's shop? I really want to see what a master in his 20s looks like. Yi Feng asked Piao Lingxue, his eyes shining as everyone landed in the city. That's right, where is the master? We heard that he's a super young master. The group of disciples chatted with fervor which added glow to the streets. Let's move. Piao Lingxue led them to Wang Xian's shop. When they reached the shop, they saw Wang Xian sitting inside. Piao Lingxue responded impassively, "This is the one." What? Great senior sister, you mean, this small shop is the one? Everyone was dumbfounded by what they saw. Chapter 572, Unparalleled in Refining Elixir Pills and Equipment, 1. All the female disciples from Mtishui were stunned. Those few other young disciples from Yongchang Immortal sect were equally shocked as they stared at the shop before them in astonishment. A small shop. Moreover, it was among the smallest shops in the vicinity. Within the shop, the walls were empty without any dazzling spiritual equipment. There wasn't any aroma of elixir pills either. The entire shop was at most 20 to 30 square meters. This is the shop of a master. A master would stay in a shop like this? The group was completely dumbfounded. Senior sister Piao Lingxue, are you sure this is the shop of that master? Would a master stay in a shop like this? A young disciple from Yongchang Immortal sect found this hilarious and commented. Behind them, the group of disciples from Mtishui looked at the small shop, baffled. There seems to be a young man in it. Could it be that the young man is the blacksmith master? Why do I find this to be unbelievable? Take a look at the signboard on the doors of the shop. Alchemist Master and Blacksmith Master. How reassuring. The group broke into discussions after seeing the small shop. This is obviously a front for scams. Girls, don't be scammed by them. A middle-aged man passing by reminded them out of goodwill after seeing the group of beautiful girls and hearing their conversation. When the group heard the middle-aged man, they nodded their heads instinctively. The shop is obviously a front for scams. Let's go in. Piao Lingxue took a deep breath. Seeing the small shop once again, she found herself to be a little ridiculous too. Why did I even decide to go in previously? However, she was lucky to have gone in. Otherwise, she would have missed out on a great blacksmith master. Let's go. Seeing their grand senior sister walking in without further explanation, the group of disciples from Mtishui entered out of curiosity despite feeling a little weird. I would like to see what kind of master would be in a shop like this. When Yi Feng saw the entire small shop, the edge of his mouth inclined upwards as he walked in. It's a shame that the shop was a little too small. After a dozen-odd people had gone in, it became a little crowded. This caused the group of disciples from Mtishui to feel a little speechless. Every single shop nearing the center of Yongchang City was huge. For large elixir pill shops and weapon shops, customers wouldn't feel squeezed even if there were 100 customers in them. At this moment, Wang Xian saw the group stepping into his shop. Seeing Piao Lingxue and that little brat at the front of the pack, his eyes beamed with excitement. You girls are back. Wang Xian stood up with a smile. He looked around and commented, it seems like Ms. Piao has brought me quite a number of customers. Wang Xian smiled radiantly. From this group of people, he could pick up the smell of metal and spiritual medicine. You are the blacksmith master? Yi Feng squinted his eyes, scrutinized Wang Xian from head to bottom and asked plainly. You are interested in refining equipment? Wang Xian looked at Yi Feng and asked directly. Refine equipment? Yi Feng shook his head and answered plainly, I saw your signboard saying that there is a blacksmith master and alchemist master. I would like to meet both masters. Oh. The shop is small. If you wish to see them, perhaps you can come again when you are here to refine equipment or elixir pills. If you aren't, please get out and let the real customers in. Seeing Yi Feng putting up a haughty front, Wang Xian remarked emotionlessly. You. Yi Feng was stunned and his face became flushed from embarrassment instantly. These are the customers we have brought you. What do you think? Can you lower the price you charge for refining equipment a little? Upon seeing Wang Xian embarrassing Yifeng, Piao Lingxue interrupted and stopped their conversation. She knew that Wang Xian would only give her back her swords after she paid up despite her telling him her name. The temper of the master was undoubtedly bad. What's the price Saint Forge Workshop is charging for level 10 spiritual equipment and a level 5 elixir pill? Wang Xian asked the group directly. 2 sets of materials for the equipment with 100 spiritual stones for workmanship. As for pills, it would be 3 sets of materials for 3 elixir pills. These are the prices of Saint Forge Workshop. All the other forge workshops and elixir pill shops in the entire Yongchang city also charge around these prices. Although you are a master, I hope you won't charge prices that deviate greatly from these prices. Piao Lingxue said to Wang Xian. For the refining of spiritual equipment, I'm not charging for workmanship. As for elixir pills, I'll give you guys 4 pills. Wang Xian replied directly. What? You are not charging for workmanship? Piao Lingxue was taken aback and astonished. Yeah. Pass me the materials and tell me what kind of weapon you would like. Wang Xian said to the group behind Piao Lingxue. Not charging for workmanship? Are there really such great deals in this world? Really? Behind Piao Lingxue, the group of female disciples from Embark was shocked to hear Wang Xian. Their eyes widened in shock and were fixed on Wang Xian. They were hesitant. The lower price had instead given them the feeling that this shop wouldn't be reliable. Bei Ling, pass him your materials. Seeing the disciples behind her hesitating, Piao Lingxue spoke to Bei Ling, who was standing beside her. All right, great senior sister. When Bei Ling heard Piao Lingxue, she handed the materials for forging the spiritual equipment to Wang Xian. Level 11 crystal metal. I would like to forge a level 11 spiritual sword. Bei Ling handed the metal to Wang Xian but was still a little doubtful of him. What's the length, thickness, weight and special requirements, if any? Wang Xian took the materials. The 2 sets of materials were each the size of a human head. It was definitely more than 2 sets of materials. I can even have it custom made? Bei Ling was taken aback and looked at Wang Xian in shock. Custom-made weapons. If a blacksmith master was to custom-make a weapon for a customer, the price would be hefty. This could be considered as specially crafted and would be a lot more troublesome for the blacksmith master. The fees for custom-made weapons by a blacksmith master would definitely not be lower than 1,000 spiritual stones. It isn't much more troublesome. Tell me all your requirements. Wang Xian said plainly to Bei Ling. All right. Thank you. Bei Ling nodded her head. Following which, she told Wang Xian the most appropriate length, breadth and weight for her sword. Wait here for 10 minutes. Wang Xian nodded his head as he headed for the second story with the materials. Grand senior sister, Is he really a blacksmith master? 10 minutes. 10 minutes to forge level 11 spiritual equipment. When Bei Ling heard Wang Xian, she was once again shocked as she asked Piao Lingxue blankly. Yeah. Grand senior sister, how could he possibly finish a piece of spiritual equipment in 10 minutes? Moreover, we are talking about level 11 spiritual equipment. Which blacksmith master wouldn't take 1 to 2 days? The surrounding disciples turned to their great senior sisters and clearly couldn't believe Wang Xian. You will know in 10 minutes. If she had not witnessed him using just 10 minutes to restore her Boyu sword and forge 6 other miniature Boyu swords, she wouldn't have believed either. 10 minutes. It's impossible to forge level 11 spiritual equipment in 10 minutes. Putting aside blacksmith master, even a blacksmith grand master wouldn't be capable of that. If he really forges level 11 spiritual equipment in 10 minutes, I will eat the spiritual equipment. Yifeng heard Wang Xian. With his understanding of refining equipment, he snorted and remarked right away. That's right. Even senior brother O Ziming requires a day to forge an inborn spiritual weapon. Even if he relied on a level 12 forging table, he would still require several hours. How could he possibly forge level 11 spiritual equipment in 10 minutes? Senior Sister Piao Lingxue, is this a scam? Another disciple beside Yi Feng also commented with indignance. Chapter 573, Unparalleled in Refining Elixir Pills and Equipment, 2. The crowd of female disciples from Invincible were utterly bewildered upon hearing the words from the two disciples of Yongchang Immortal Sect. In fact, they would have just lashed out saying that this was an errant shop had it not been for their great senior sister. But even then, the disciples began to talk amongst themselves, with some even wanting out. Just give it another 10 minutes, and you'll see. Piao Lingxue chided, which shushed the crowd of Invincible disciples immediately. After all, Piao Lingxue remained a highly prestigious figure back at Invincible. I wonder if he'll actually chomp the sword down. Should we really refine a piece of spiritual equipment by waiting for just another 10 minutes? Mu Wanbai uttered in a hushed tone. She had lost all good impressions of this senior brother Yi Feng during their interaction within an hour. He, junior sister Wanbai. Let's put it this way. Even if he's a deity, it's impossible for him to refine and come up with spiritual equipment of level 11 in 10 minutes. With a cold laugh, Yi Feng sneered at Mu Wanbai with certainty after hearing her comments. Then we shall wait and see. Mu Wanbai rebuked as she eyed Yi Feng. I'm more interested in this so-called blacksmith master, and what tricks he has up his sleeve. Yi Feng replied. He was somewhat convinced by Piao Lingxue by the latter's mention of the presence of a blacksmith master where they were right now. But, he was now in complete disbelief after seeing the humble shop for himself, along with the young man inside. All the more so as the young man boasted of being able to refine level 11 spiritual equipment in 10 minutes. With arms akimbo, Yi Feng stood watching nonchalantly. The atmosphere was somewhat tense right then as silence filled the crowd. 10 minutes was an extremely short period to speak of. Meanwhile, Wang Xian was located on the second floor as he looked at the remaining metal with pleasant surprise. These metals are enough to construct a long sword along with another dagger. Such a bonus! Wang Xian chirped excitedly. A piece of level 11 spiritual equipment could fetch up to 15,000 spiritual stones, given the market rates. Meaning to say, upon completion of this sword, he would then have gained 20,000 spiritual stones, which would allow him to purchase a level 6 elixir pill. A level 6 elixir pill could help Wang Xian gain more than 100,000 dragon energy. These were but the benefits from a mere business deal. Upon ascension to level 9, my future is bright. Wang Xian exclaimed with glistening eyes. Form, he commanded while eyeing the spiritual equipment in front of him. Swoosh! The long sword let out a crisp clang while Wang Xian beamed with satisfaction. Exactly 10 minutes, he chimed. Zing! With a swing of his arm, the long sword before him went flying downstairs. Zoom! A swishing sound descended from the second floor. What's that? The crowd asked in confusion as they remained standing within the shop. With the utmost vigilance, some of the disciples even braced themselves by clutching onto their long swords as they saw the flying sword approaching. As it neared, the long sword spun in a circle before it halted right in front of Bei Ling. Everyone was stunned. They stared at the long sword which hung in suspension before Bei Ling in utter astonishment. The level 11 spiritual equipment for this lady is ready. Just then, a faint call could be heard coming from the level above. It's ready. Bei Ling stuttered with a look of disbelief as she gazed intently at the long sword before her. Everyone all around focused their gaze on this long sword. The long sword shimmered. Its entire body boasted a dazzling shine and appeared incredibly sharp. Bei Ling looked on with euphoria. With a swing of her arm, she grabbed onto the sword handle. Zing! Blinding blue rays gushed up the sword as she held onto it. With a slight shift of her energy focus, it led to a series of ripples from the blue energy of the sword. Level 11 spiritual equipment. A piece of level 11 spiritual equipment indeed. Bei Ling cried out at the top of her lungs while her eyes became fired up with rhapsody. What's more, This long sword fits my exact description, in length, width and weight. Good sword, a good sword indeed. What? Everyone questioned with looks of disbelief upon hearing Bei Ling's words. How's this possible? How long has it been? To think, a piece of level 11 spiritual equipment has since been refined and ready? Goodness, such blinding aqua rays. No doubt a level 11 spiritual equipment. A blacksmith master indeed. The crowd of disciples gushed in cries of awe and astonishment. It's only natural. Should I be deceiving you otherwise? Wang Xian smiled to the crowd as he descended from the level above. Meanwhile, Yi Feng and several youths from the Yongchang immortal sect were absolutely stunned. This, they uttered while gazing at the spiritual sword in disbelief. 10 minutes, it can't be. This is absolutely impossible. Yi Feng let out a low growl in utter skepticism. To refine and create spiritual equipment in 10 minutes was something he found to be impossible regardless of who it was. Hee, it's impossible for you guys. But that doesn't mean it's impossible for me. Wang Xian said to Yi Feng rather indifferently. Yi Feng stood dazed for a moment while staring at Wang Xian intently. He had a burning desire to rebuke the latter. Yet, he had no idea how to go about with his rebuttal given that the length, width, and weight of the long sword fit the exact descriptions set forth by Bei Ling. Could it be that he's really able to refine level 11 spiritual equipment in 10 minutes? Yi Feng muttered with a gloomy expression. He gazed at the long sword and let out a deep sigh. At the sight, Mu Wanbai was slightly tickled. See what I mean? This shop may be very miserly, but it really does house a blacksmith master. She chuckled as if to say that she had really been honest with them. A faint grin stretched across Piao Lingshue's face. Upon the sight, Wang Xian broke into a brief smile. Should any of you still wish to refine more spiritual equipment, just pass me the materials and state your requirements, he said to the rest of the crowd. Me, I want to refine spiritual equipment. Me too, me too. I'd like to have a sword refined as well, handsome master. In an instant, the crowd of Emtishui disciples was driven into a craze upon the sight of the level 11 spiritual equipment which Bei Ling was holding. To have a customized weapon made by a master blacksmith free of charge. Such a great deal was 1 in a million within the entire Yongchang fraternity. Ha! That's quite a few. Wang Xian gasped with a glow in his eyes when he saw the group of girls closing in with various materials in hand. But, rather than the materials, Wang Xian was more interested in spiritual grasses. There are too many of you. Can you all find paper and pen and write your requirements down before passing the materials to me? In addition, is there anyone who wants to refine elixir pills? If so, that'll take 3 portions of materials, and I'll give you 4 elixir pills. Wang Xian called out to the crowd. Are you also an alchemist master, handsome master? Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, one of the girls could not help but blurt her question out. In an instant, the girl's question also caught the attention of the rest as Piao Lingxue and Mu Wanbai gazed intently at Wang Xian. Yes. Wang Xian answered without the slightest hesitation. I'm able to refine all elixir pills below level 12, and the price I offer is much more affordable than the other elixir stores, he added. TSK. The crowd gasped and took one deep breath right after Wang Xian had finished his line. How? How's this possible? Are you really a wicked genius? How can one be both a master alchemist and a master blacksmith all at once? The same girl from earlier exclaimed with a shaking voice while the rest of the girls stared at Wang Xian in both shock and awe. In response, Wang Xian only smiled briefly. Perhaps, an unprecedented genius who's unparalleled in refining elixir pills and equipment really does exist in this world. Chapter 574, Unparalleled in Refining Elixir Pills and Equipment, 3. This cannot be possible. This definitely cannot be possible. If one said that Wang Xian was a blacksmith master and he could forge a level 11 spiritual equipment in 10 minutes, it would already be enough to make one feel a sense of disbelief. If one was to tell him that Wang Xian was also an alchemist master, he definitely wouldn't believe it. An unparalleled genius in both fields? There was probably not a single person throughout history and into the future who would be so demon-like. At this moment, Yi Feng's understanding of the world was thrown into disarray. He definitely wouldn't believe there would be a single person who was an alchemist master and blacksmith master at the same time. It was especially so considering that this person looked just like a young, 20-year-old man. This cannot be possible. Some blacksmiths spend their entire lives engrossed in refining equipment and yet they find it hard to reach the realm of a blacksmith master. Some alchemists spent their entire lives refining elixir pills and yet they can't refine level 6 spiritual pills. I don't believe it. I don't believe you are an alchemist master. Yi Feng could no longer hold back as he screamed at Wang Xian. He was an alchemist himself and was widely regarded as the most outstanding alchemist in the younger generation of the entire Yongchang world. Even so, he could barely refine level 5 elixir pills currently. Moreover, his success rate was a meager 20%. In other words, he would only succeed once with 5 sets of materials. A success rate like this wasn't high for an alchemist. However, considering his age, it was a commendable achievement. In fact, if he could use a level 13 alchemy furnace, he could still give level 6 elixir pills a shot. Level 6 elixir pills were also considered to be the benchmark of a grandmaster. Yet, this man who was even younger than him claimed to be an alchemist master. He couldn't believe him. As an alchemist, he knew the difficulties of refining elixir pills. Ha! Wang Xian raised an eyebrow, looked to Yi Feng and said, "What do you even know?" "What do I know?" Hearing Wang Xian questioning him, Yi Feng's expression turned as cold as ice. He stared intensely at Wang Xian and replied in a solemn voice, "What do I know? I've been refining elixir pills since I was 10 years old. I was once guided by an immortal realm expert and can even refine level 5 elixir pills currently. You are asking me what I know? In the entire Yongchang world, if my Yi family claimed to be second in refining elixir pills, no one would dare to claim to be first. You are asking me what I know? Are you questioning my ability?" Yi Feng's lips curved into a smirk. "I can't deny you are a blacksmith master. However, if you are saying you are both a blacksmith master and alchemist master, it's impossible. I have the capital to deny your claims." Yi Feng stared harshly at Wang Xian as he shouted coldly. He. Wang Xian looked at him with contempt. The surrounding disciples from Tishue frowned upon hearing Yi Feng's questions. They were a little doubtful. However, Wang Xian completing level 11 spiritual equipment in an insanely short period had convinced many of these disciples. They were merely suspecting and doubting but not refuting the possibility completely. You are questioning his identity as an alchemist master now? Didn't you say if he could forge the spiritual equipment in 10 minutes, you would eat it? When Mu Wanbai heard Yi Feng, she remarked in this way. Her irk for him had grown as she grumbled softly. Shut up. Don't speak if you don't understand anything. Yi Feng heard Mu Wanbai, turned to her instantly and shouted. When Mu Wanbai heard him shouting at her, she was shocked initially. However, this quickly turned to anger. The disciples from Shui were also shocked when Yi Feng shouted at Mu Wanbai. Young Master Yi Feng, please watch your actions and words. Piao Lingxue looked coldly at Yi Feng and reminded. He. A family of alchemists? A supreme talent? Wang Xian looked to a disciple from Tishue and said, Pass me the spiritual medicine you have prepared. Ha! Handsome master, you are. The girl was surprised but still took out the spiritual medicine from her bag. There was a total of 75 spiritual medicines with 3 sets of each variety. These were the materials for refining level 5 elixir pills. To slap the face of a pile of trash. Wang Xian replied directly. You. Yi Feng's expression was contorted from anger after hearing Wang Xian. His eyes were cold and he didn't take the warning from Piao Lingxue to heart. Here, handsome master. The girl handed the spiritual medicine she'd brought to Wang Xian. Channel's cleansing pill? Wang Xian looked at the materials and asked the girl. Yeah. Level 5 elixir pill, Channel's cleansing pill. The girl nodded her head as she replied right away. Her bright eyes remained fixed on Wang Xian. Wang Xian moved his arms and the area before him was shrouded in water energy right away. Wang Xian squinted his eyes while placing the tufts of spiritual medicine on it. Gradually, they melted. Refining elixir pills on the spot. Handsome Master is going to refine elixir pills before us. Could it be that he's really an alchemist master? Handsome Master is so confident of it. He definitely is an alchemist master. He's too cool. Oh, he's so stunning. A blacksmith master that also knows about refining elixir pills. If only I could find a husband like him. When the group of female disciples saw Wang Xian starting to refine elixir pills before them, they were certain that Wang Xian was an incredible alchemist master. They looked at Wang Xian and could feel their hearts palpitating rapidly. A blacksmith master who was quite possibly also an alchemist master. Who could possibly be a match to an unparalleled demon-like talent like him? No one. Art of water refining, art of water refining. When Yifeng saw that Wang Xian had started refining elixir pills before him, he had a bad premonition. Nonetheless, he still refused to believe a person could be so demon-like. What incredible and precise control. His art of water refining is really strong. Piao Lingxue saw Wang Xian starting to refine elixir pills with the art of water refining. Seeing his control over water energy, she was astonished. She was completely in awe over the extent of the control, as she was certain that she didn't possess such ability. Seeing Wang Xian refining elixir pills with the art of water refining, Yifeng's expression was constantly changing. He specialized in the art of refining elixir pills with fire. As for the art of water refining, he wasn't adept at it. Even so, he could still see the smooth actions of Wang Xian. The spiritual medicine dissolved rapidly and was soon separated and combined. He was really, really fast. He's insanely fast. I once saw an alchemist refine elixir pills with the art of water refining. However, he was a lot slower than the handsome master. A girl saw Wang Xian's actions and exclaimed. Form, 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 form. At this moment, Wang Xian shouted softly. At the surface of the water screen, droplets of elixir pills coalesced rapidly. Following this, they cooled rapidly with the help of water energy. Done! Wang Xian shouted. Moving his hand across, 4 elixir pills hovered in the air before him. He lifted his head nonchalantly, looked across the crowd and eventually at Yifeng. Trash! Look! Level 5 elixir pills, Channel's cleansing pills. Chapter 575, Space Ring. Hey, Trash, take a look at this. Level 5 elixir pill, the Channel's cleansing pill. Wang Xian's cold and disdainful voice rang in Yifeng's ears. Oh my god! It is the level 5 Channel's cleansing pill. All 4 of them were refined in such a short time. This is simply amazing. Incredible. This handsome master is simply incredible. In just a matter of a few minutes, he was able to refine 4 level 5 elixir pills without any failures. He is so cool. Alchemy master. He is the real deal. Oh gosh, I think I have fallen in love with him. He is truly a genius blacksmith and alchemist like no other. The handsome master must be the brightest genius in the entire Yongchang world. I have just made up my mind to court him forever. At the same time, the voices of a group of infatuated and passionate Emtichua female disciples could be heard in the distance. They gawked at Wang Xian with excitement as if they were obsessed fans of a popular idol. Yifeng stared at the 4 elixir pills in front of him and listened to the astonished voices of the Emtichua disciples. His face turned painfully gloomy. He suddenly felt as if his world had been turned upside down. A blacksmith and alchemy master at the young tender age of his 20s. 2 master-level skills in one person. Is he even human? How is that even possible? How could he believe that this was humanly possible? He was known as the genius that was favored by the gods. But in the face of this man, he was nothing. This was a huge upset for the arrogant and haughty Yifeng. In front of such a genius, they simply weren't in the same league. If you are not making any other requests for refining weapons or elixir pills, please leave now. My shop is too small to accommodate you. Wang Xian spoke coldly to the absent-minded Yifeng. You! Yifeng stared at Wang Xian with his face twisted with anger. Yet he also felt a sense of despair as he wrote the mixed emotions on his face. Let's go, Senior Yifeng. We still have unsettled business to take care of tonight, the disciples of Yongchang Immortal Sect who had been standing aside quickly said to the embarrassed Yifeng. With a sullen face, Yifeng turned and left silently. Humph. Mu Wanbai sneered at Yifeng's departing figure. I guess the handsome master has dealt Yifeng such a huge blow that he lost all his senses. I think he is a narrow-minded guy putting on a high and mighty front. How dare he even scream at our sister Wanbai? Humph. Yifeng is just feeling jealous. Compared to this handsome master here, he is simply garbage. No, I mean the handsome master is just too powerful for everyone. His ability is truly unparalleled. Both blacksmith and alchemy master in one. Do you have a girlfriend yet, handsome master? Can I be your girlfriend? I don't mind if you already have one. Xiao Qing, are you sexually aroused already? Ignore her, handsome master. Choose me as your girlfriend instead. I have bigger boobs than the rest of them. After the disciples of Yongchang Immortal Sect had left, the female disciples of Embark started to misbehave and flirt with Wang Xian. But Wang Xian was just so outstanding that it was hard to fault these ladies for throwing themselves at him. If anyone could land themselves such a husband, it would be the pinnacle of their lives. Even Piao Lingxue, who had been standing quietly aside, was slightly moved by Wang Xian. With such good looks and incredible refining skills, there was no other man like him in the entire Yongchang. Sorry to disappoint everyone, but I do not have the intention of getting a girlfriend yet. Now, may I request that everybody please leaves their spiritual grass and refinery materials behind and make a note of your request? Do drop by tomorrow again to collect your elixir pills and spiritual equipment. Wang Xian quickly spoke to the crowd of passionate female disciples with a faint smile. I am serious, handsome master, one of the female disciples from Embark shouted at Wang Xian with an earnest look on her face. I am closing my shop soon. Please leave your things behind. Wang Xian laughed and shook his head. Stop your nonsense, girls. Just leave your materials and go. Piao Lingxue yelled at the group of Embark disciples who had lost their usual reserved demure. Okay, great senior sister. Seeing that their great senior sister had raised her voice, the female disciples of Embark ended their teasing of Wang Xian. One by one, they left their refinery materials and spiritual grass in front of Wang Xian. 15 requests to refine spiritual pills, among which, 1 request for a level 6 spiritual pill. As Wang Xian watched the female disciples leaving their heaps of spiritual grass, his eyes lit up. These spiritual grasses constituted a great source of dragon energy for him. After they were done placing their spiritual grasses, the Embark female disciples happily bid Wang Xian goodbye. Their sweet and lovable looks were so seductive. The onlooking youths who had crowded over to watch the scene were full of envy of Wang Xian. But when they thought about how powerful Wang Xian was with his refining skills, they shook their heads helplessly. How were they even qualified to pit themselves against a competitor like this? How many spiritual stones do we owe you? Piao Lingxue asked Wang Xian gently after the disciples were done with putting down their materials. Just give me whatever spiritual stones you have with you. Wang Xian was obviously in good spirits at the sight of the spiritual grasses. He moved his arm, took out 6 small boyu swords and tossed them towards Piao Lingxue. Piao Lingxue was pleasantly surprised. With a swift gesture, she took out her larger bow sword and put the small swords into the hilt of the larger one. These are all the spiritual stones that I have. As Piao Lingxue spoke, she lifted her arm, and pieces of spiritual stones started to appear out of nowhere, dropping onto the table. Wang Xian witnessed how the spiritual stones appeared out of thin air. A sign of disbelief flashed briefly across his face, and a thought formed in his mind that made him burn with passion. Space item. Is that a space ring that you are holding? Wang Xian asked with his eyes fixed on the ring in her hand. Yes, this is a space ring indeed. Piao Lingxue nodded. Where can I buy a space ring? Or rather, where can I get a space ring? Wang Xian stared at Piao Lingxue and asked this hastily. A space ring was a spiritual equipment that consists of storage space. It was what Wang Xian had always wanted. With it, he could enjoy the utmost convenience. He would be able to store all the spiritual equipment and elixir pills in it. Moreover, he would need to transport all the resources that he had gotten from Yongchang world to the real world. With a space item to store the resources, it would save him a lot of trouble. What a surprise to see the existence of a space ring in the Yongchang world. I must have such a treasure. Wang Xian thought while staring hard at the ring in Piao Lingxue's hand. Oh, this space ring. This is what I got as a reward for coming in second at the Dahong Immortal Sect's Outstanding Young Disciples ranking. They will also appear occasionally at auctions for bidding at a cost of roughly 30 to 50,000 spiritual stones. If you ever come across a nether space stone, you can refine one yourself as well. Piao Lingxue replied earnestly, seeing how Wang Xian treated the ring with such importance. I see. Well then, Miss Piao, if you ever come across any news on space rings or nether space stones, please kindly let me know. Wang Xian nodded to Piao Lingxue. Don't worry. I will let you know if I come across any news about them. Thanks for the bow sword, said Piao Lingxue to Wang Xian gratefully. Chapter 576, Big Business. The group left the shop and Wang Xian shuttered the doors soon after. Suddenly, the shop regained peace and silence. Looking at the materials in the room, Wang Xian's eyes beamed with excitement. 15 people have requested to refine level 5 elixir pills. That's the equivalent of 45 sets of spiritual medicine. Based on the rate of 4 elixir pills per set of spiritual medicine, I will get 180 elixir pills. Deducting the 60 elixir pills to 15 people, I will still get 120 elixir pills. One person has requested level 6 elixir pills. I'll get 8 elixir pills. Level 5 elixir pills could increase my dragon energy by roughly 10,000 points. If I have 120, it would be the equivalent of over 1,000,000 points of dragon energy. Level 6 elixir pill give more than 100,000 points of dragon energy. 8 pills would be close to 1,000,000 points of dragon energy. Together, 2,000,000 points of dragon energy won't be a problem. I can even heal my injuries completely. Wang Xian's eyes beamed with excitement. He was getting 2,000,000 points of dragon energy in a single day. If he was lucky, he could raise his level to level 9 soon. Wang Xian's lips curved into a smile as he looked towards the materials for weapons. A total of 33 sets. Among them, there were 4 sets of level 11 materials. In other words, he would be getting 4 level 11 spiritual weapons and 29 inborn level weapons. Time to start refining. Wang Xian took a deep breath. He was exhilarated as he started refining rapidly. Wang Xian was incredibly fast and the materials were turning into elixir pills and weapons at a frenzied pace. As for the additional elixir pills, he consumed them directly to heal his injuries. After he'd finished refining all the materials into elixir pills or weapons, it was already 4 a.m. With a single thought, his attributes surfaced in his mind. Name, Wang Xian. Race, 5 elements divine dragon, able to transform into a human. Level, 8, dragon energy, 21,563, for 21/100 000,000. Superpower, dominate marine animals, ability to rule any marine animals that are lower than your own level. Devour any form of marine animals, for extraction of dragon energy. 5 elements control. Art of cultivation, divine dragon transformation. Art of fire refining, refine all equipment with the origin source flame. Art of water refining, refine all equipment with the origin source water. Battle techniques, water clone, preliminary, sword edge, preliminary, instant shift, preliminary. I'm still missing over 70 million points of dragon energy to level up. Moreover, a new category of battle techniques has appeared. Looking at his own attributes, Wang Xian pondered them. He would need to consume more than 700 level 6 elixir pills or over 7,000 level 5 elixir pills to gather 70 million points of dragon energy. The amount was a little too huge. However, it would take just a month for him to reach if he was getting more than 2 million points of dragon energy each day. Wang Xian revealed a smile as he went to the 3rd floor to rest. What Wang Xian wasn't aware of was that less than an hour after the 70 to 80 female disciples of Empty Shui had returned to Empty Shui, all the female disciples of Empty Shui knew about a demon-like master who was unparalleled in refining elixir pills and equipment. Those female disciples from Empty Shui were introducing Wang Xian to the rest of the disciples as though they were hardcore fans of Wang Xian. A 20-year-old handsome alchemist master and a blacksmith master at the same time. He's the most outstanding young man in Yongchang world. A demon-like master that is unparalleled in refining elixir pills and equipment and the prince charming of all girls. The most dazzling genius in Yongchang city and definitely the youngest unparalleled master. They weren't stingy on the compliments of Wang Xian, making those female disciples who had not gone with them feel curious and regretful. It was especially so as this master who was unparalleled in refining elixir pills and equipment charged a lot less, regardless of whether it was equipment refining or elixir pill refining. Moreover, this master would make each piece of spiritual equipment based on your requirements. This was a deadly attraction for every single cultivator. Custom-made weapons from a blacksmith master? What price would you have to pay if you looked for another blacksmith master? However, this blacksmith master wasn't charging for workmanship. He would simply be requesting 2 sets of materials. Elixir pills. Other places offered 3 pills while this master offered 4 pills. Never underestimate the value of a single pill. If it was a level 5 elixir pill, the value would be close to 1,000 spiritual stones. The value of a level 6 elixir pill would be even more insane. Some disciples from Empty Shui started gathering what they had saved up over time to bring to Wang Xian for refining. On the next day morning, beautiful female disciples walked into the shop shortly after Wang Xian opened it. Handsome master, is my spiritual sword done? A female disciple walked to Wang Xian passionately, staring at him with her bright and seductive eyes. Your name please. Handsome master, I've brought 2 customers for you today. The girl smiled radiantly at Wang Xian. Thank you. Wang Xian looked to the other girls and found them to be stealing glances at him from time to time while conversing softly. Qin Zi. You can call me Qin Zi. Handsome master, you have to remember my name. Handsome master, I'm here to collect my item. For the entire morning, the stream of people into and out of the small shop didn't break. Moreover, the girls from Empty Shui weren't simply here to collect their elixir pills and spiritual equipment. They also brought him lots of customers. This made Wang Xian smile for the entire morning. Master, master. In the evening, when the last female disciple from Empty Shui had left, several figures entered. Wang Xian looked up and saw Piao Lingxue and Mu Wanbai. Other than the 2 of them, there was an old man and a middle-aged man beside them. Ms. Piao. Ms. Mu. Wang Xian smiled radiantly when he saw them stepping in. Without the 2 of them, his business wouldn't have been as great. I've brought you huge business today. Mu Wanbai smiled at Wang Xian such that her eyes formed a line. Shouldn't you get me something in return? Ha! Wang Xian was taken aback. He turned to the old man and middle-aged men, showed a smile and said, sure. What a young master in alchemy and blacksmithing. You are really unparalleled in this world. If I hadn't heard from Piao Lingxue personally, I wouldn't have believed it. The old man scrutinized Wang Xian from top to bottom as he spoke. TSK. You are my grandpa. And yet you don't believe what I've said. When Mu Wanbai heard the old man, she pouted and stared at him. Huh. The old man chuckled. The next moment, he took out an item, handed it to Wang Xian and said, "This is our first meeting. Please accept this token as a gift from our Mu family." Ha! Wang Xian was taken aback. He looked at the box in the old man's hand but didn't accept it right away. I heard from Ms. Piao Lingxue that you wanted a space ring. Our Mu family happens to have a few. This is the one with the largest space that we have. It has the capacity of 1,000 cubic meters, the old man said with a smile. A space ring with 1,000 cubic meters. Wang Xian's eyes lit up. He looked at the old man and asked, "May I ask what your conditions are?" It's obviously about refining elixir pills and equipment. I hope that for our collaboration, you can give some interest to us. The old man was direct as he chuckled. Chapter 577, Collaboration. Let me be clear, you cheapskate master. This is a collaboration between you and my family. On account of us boosting your sales so much by referring customers to you yesterday, you mustn't act like such a cheapskate towards us anymore. Mu Wanbai told Wang Xian as she came to his side while pointing at him. If my business scale becomes really prominent, I'll make sure to benefit your family greatly. Wang Xian answered with glee as he looked at Mu Wanbai. Speaking of which, Mu Wanbai and Piao Lingxue were his lucky stars. Had it not been for the two of them, he would not be enjoying such brisk business right now. Alright, since you've said so. Huh. Mu Wanbai nodded with much satisfaction upon hearing Wang Xian's promise. It's a small shop I have with no space to sit around. Nonetheless, please go on, senior. Wang Xian said to the old man without any hesitation as he smiled at the latter and took over the box from his hands. Seeing that Wang Xian had accepted the present from him, the old man broke into an even wider smile. The Mu family would like to have a batch of spiritual equipment and elixir pills refined, the old man exclaimed. A batch? Wang Xian asked. How much are we looking at? He continued while his heart fluttered. 200 portions of materials for level 10 spiritual equipment, 20 for level 11, 200 for level 5 elixir pills and 40 for level 6 elixir pills, the old man replied. In the near future, the spiritual equipment from the Yongchang cauldron will no longer be of prominent use when its cauldron world descends into the real world. What's more, the other cauldron worlds will soon follow and descend. Hence some of the resources will have to convert into physical ones, the old man continued. Is that so? Wang Xian questioned following the old man's words. His heart skipped a beat. How much longer will it be before the Yongchang cauldron world descends into the real world? He asked in succession. 2 years at most, if not 1. Could be even shorter otherwise, the old man said to Wang Xian while the latter listened with a darkened expression. As of now, I still don't know your name, master. May I know which immortal sect you are a disciple of? The old man asked Wang Xian out of curiosity upon seeing the change in his expression. I'm Wang Xian, from the Dahong Immortal sect. Wang Xian responded upfront for he had no means to hide the facts anyway. What? Wang Xian of the Dahong Immortal sect? Just then, a gasp came from Mu Wanbai as she asked in utter surprise. Even Piao Lingxue looked towards Wang Xian in complete bewilderment. So you're Wang Xian, Dragon King Wang Xian from Invincible. Mu Wanbai exclaimed loudly as she stared intently at Wang Xian with her jaw lowered. To which, Wang Xian looked back at Mu Wanbai before nodding his head. Oh? Is he a renowned master? The old man quizzed as he looked at his granddaughter, stunned. Dragon King Wang Xian from Invincible, who rose to sudden fame. The one who broke through 8 mountain sects single-handedly within a day, and helped to bring Invincible up to 11th placing from 19th. Also, the one to defeat Kong Guanglin with a single strike on the very same day. Despite your current placing as the 20th amongst all disciples within the Dahong Immortal sect, many are of the opinion that you actually possess the capabilities to come within the top 10. To think that you turned out to be the Dragon King. Rumor has it that the Dragon King's known for being obnoxious, but it appears that you're something of a cheapskate from what I see. Mu Wanbai shrieked as she fixed her gaze on Wang Xian. Is that so? Well, that's something I wasn't aware of. Wang Xian responded with a faint smile. A disciple of Invincible. To think that this master here is also a member of our Dahong Immortal sect. The old man chimed in while assessing Wang Xian with bouts of curiosity, scrutinizing him from top to bottom. Everyone from the Mu family was also a disciple of the Dahong Immortal sect, many of whom were amongst the higher management. Given your prowess, master, you're more than qualified to become an elder of the Dahong Immortal sect. The old man opined as he slipped into deep thought. An elder? Wang Xian uttered in mild surprise. Becoming an elder of the Dahong Immortal sect was something which had not crossed his mind before. There's only 5 within the entire Dahong Immortal sect who are blacksmith masters or alchemy masters. Yet, you're both, Master Wang Xian. Becoming an elder would be such a breeze for you, the old man explained to Wang Xian. Wang Xian gave it a brief thought before dismissing the idea altogether almost immediately. Becoming an elder of the Dahong Immortal sect would mean having to come across immortal class figures. To have such an existence paying attention to oneself, and checking up on one's background, would only result in complications very easily. Hence, it was best to avoid gaining the attention of such figures for the time being. Let's not focus on the other worlds for now. Given that the Mu family would like to have so much spiritual equipment and elixir pills refined, the amount of materials that we're looking at, Wang Xian trailed off while looking at the old man. The old man commented no further when he heard Wang Xian changing the topic. Presently, the Dahong Immortal sect, Yongchang Immortal sect, and Immortal Slaying sect were very much at ease. Given the millennium of peace enjoyed, many of the higher management figures within the immortal sects had come to establish their own clans, while even more had come to place their own clans as the top priority while relegating the immortal sect to second. Their various immortal class figures paid no heed to such a situation despite their awareness. Even though the senior management each had their own clans outside of the immortal sects, the clans would have to be dismissed and be fully integrated into the immortal sects upon the order from an expert amongst the immortal class figures. For the immortal class figures, such was the prowess and terror they possessed along with their authority. Based on the account from the young lass of my family, I've come to hear of your prowess in the refinement of equipment and elixir pills, master. Hence, should it be all right with you, we'll have 2 portions of the materials for the refining of equipment prepared. We'll also have twice the amount of spiritual grasses needed ready. What do you say? The old man proposed his idea to Wang Xian. While the Mu family did not have their own blacksmith, they did have their own alchemist, who also happened to be a master of the trade. Their alchemist master could only guarantee a success rate of 30% for the refinement of level 5 elixir pills, and 40% for those at level 6. Should Wang Xian be the one to do the refining, the results would no doubt turn out much better. Sure. Wang Xian nodded after a brief hesitation. All right then. Tomorrow, we'll have the materials brought over. The old man brightened up with glistening eyes. After a slight moment of hesitation, he continued, Master, should we be able to increase our future orders of spiritual equipment and elixir pills, can we still stick to the current rates? Sure. Wang Xian consented. How easygoing and decisive you are, Master. Here's to our amiable collaboration. Amiable collaboration it is, the old man sang excitedly before extending a handshake to Wang Xian. Cheers to an amiable collaboration. Wang Xian nodded with a wide grin. Then we'll disturb you no further. We'll have the materials sent over tomorrow. Thank you for taking the trouble then, master. The old man smiled radiantly. Sure. Wang Xian nodded in response. We'll take our leave. The old man signaled while waving his hand. He then made his way out with Mu Wanbai and company following behind him. Little did I expect this cheapskate to be so easygoing today. Mu Wanbai chimed cheerfully as she emerged from the shop. We've made a huge profit through this collaboration, another old man in the company finally blurted out with eagerness. He had remained silent throughout earlier. I've helped our family to save a lot of materials. So what do you say, second grandpa, shouldn't you reward me for that? Mu Wanbai spoke with glee, as her eyes squinted into two crescents. Huh. Yes indeed. I'll be sure to reward you handsomely, little lass. To think it only costs us 2 portions of spiritual grasses, 2 portions of spiritual grasses. When we're back, be sure to contact the other clans. Inform them that we can offer 4 elixir pills with 3 portions of material as the price. By then, I'm sure many of the clans will come over while we refer the refining work over to this master thereafter and earn the additional portion of materials. Haha, who knows, we might just strike it rich through this opportunity. The old man laughed in joy while the other also gleamed with uncontrollable exhilaration. To the Mu family, it was a huge profit gained for them this time. Upon hearing the words from the second grandpa, Mu Wanbai stood dazed for a moment before returning to her senses. What a sly wily fox he is. What a huge gain. Meanwhile, Wang Xian was also cheering in the shop with equal elation. Chapter 578, Shot to Fame, 1. This collaboration was a windfall for the Mu family. Similarly, it was also a windfall for Wang Xian. Moreover, his was an even larger windfall. If Wang Xian was to learn what the 2 old men from the Mu family were thinking, he would be exhilarated instead of being infuriated. 200 sets of materials for level 10 spiritual equipment and 20 sets of materials for level 11 spiritual equipment. This would mean that I'll be able to get 100 pieces of level 10 spiritual equipment and 10 pieces of level 11 spiritual equipment. 200 sets of materials for level 5 elixir pills and 40 sets of level 6 elixir pills. I'll be able to get 400 level 5 elixir pills and 80 level 6 elixir pills. Summing them up, that's close to roughly 13 to 14 million points of dragon energy. I might not need a month to reach level 9 after all. When the time comes, this world won't be able to restrain me. Wang Xian lifted his head slightly and revealed a faint smile. Let's finish up the materials for today. 20 disciples from Embark requested to refine spiritual equipment or elixir pills. Although it wasn't as much as the previous day, Wang Xian still reaped substantial benefits. The next day, the disciples from Embark collected their spiritual equipment and elixir pills. The potential customers from Embark had been completely exhausted. The business of the shop died down once again. Wang Xian sat down on a chair and took a glance into the space ring. Seeing the spiritual equipment in it, he couldn't help but smile. The upgrade of the dragon field requires 1,000 pieces of spiritual equipment and inborn level materials. Soon, I'll be able to collect sufficient materials. When I get back, the Dragon Palace will be able to get a substantial upgrade. I wonder how Shu Qing, Qingyue and the rest are doing. Xiao Yu and Ajaya too. Wang Xian sank into deep thought. At the entrance of the shop, Wang Xian was about to receive the second batch of customers. Fuck them. Those scumbags from Invincible made us wait in the queue by virtue of their good relationship with Saint Forge Workshop. By the time it reaches our turn, it will probably be a few months from now. The most damning thing would be those scumbags from Invincible creating more troubles for us in the dark. If they instruct Saint Forge Workshop to constantly move us to the back of the queue, we really wouldn't know when our turn will come. Now that Yongchang world is about to descend into the real world, we might be facing off against the other 8 cauldron worlds. All the forces are turning their resources into strength in preparation for the upcoming uncertainty. All the equipment and elixir pill refining shops are experiencing explosive growth in business. Several elixir pill shops are even facing issues of sticking out. If we want to get elixir pills or spiritual equipment, we could only find alchemists or blacksmiths to refine for us. The alchemist and blacksmith in our Tianwen sect are truly a waste of our precious resources. Their success rate is too low. We've got to find a master. If only we learned about the outside world a little earlier. Now that we are a step slower, we have to wait a long time even when we want to get prepared. Ah, there's a small shop right here. The row of 5 people conversed as they walked. They were clearly in a foul mood. When they walked past Wang Xian's shop, a middle-aged man looked inquisitively at the signboard. Blacksmith Master, Alchemist Master. Could there be masters in a small shop like this? The middle-aged man stared at the shop with doubts as he mumbled to himself. A master? The other 4 men were also doubtful. A small wretched shop like this would have masters? It must be a scam. It's obvious that this is a front for scams. There's no way a master would remain in a wretched shop like this. An old man snorted coldly. Yeah. This shop looks a little too dilapidated. How can there be a master? Fuck. They sure aren't ashamed of lying. A middle-aged man seconded and nodded his head as he continued walking towards it. Let me go take a look, a middle-aged man with long hair said coldly to the other 4 men with him. Old Go, what's the point? Isn't it obvious that this is just a front for scams? How could there be? I'm just taking a look. We can't find any other blacksmith master, right? The middle-aged man with long hair interrupted his sentence emotionlessly before he continued walking towards the shop. Old Go, you are grasping at straws. The other middle-aged man frowned. Seeing that the middle-aged man with long hair didn't pay heed to his advice, he followed grumpily. Let's go in too. If this shop is scamming, we will teach them a good lesson and let them know the consequences of scamming others, the middle-aged man said to the other 3 men. Go! The 4 men followed the middle-aged man with long hair into the shop. They looked around and instantly frowned deeply. Hey, kid! Where's the master in your shop? When the group saw that the shop didn't even have places for customers to sit, they were clearly displeased. When they saw Wang Xian sitting in the shop, they shouted. Ha! Wang Xian frowned when he saw the 5 of them stepping in and shouting at him. He replied plainly, are you guys looking to refine elixir pills or equipment? Hey, brother, there's an alchemist master and blacksmith master in this shop. The middle-aged man with long hair suppressed his emotions and asked Wang Xian. Yeah. Wang Xian nodded his head. Are you sure? The other 4 men were suspicious. Please invite that master out. We would like to do business with him. You can speak to me. Are you guys looking to refine elixir pills or spiritual equipment? Wang Xian looked across the 5 people, maintained a smile and asked. You? The 4 men stared at Wang Xian. Even that middle-aged man with long hair frowned slightly. This business concerns over 100 pieces of spiritual equipment and a large number of elixir pills. Can I trouble you to invite that master out? The middle-aged man held his emotions in check as he spoke to Wang Xian once again. I'm the master. If you guys are looking to refine spiritual equipment or elixir pills, you can speak directly to me. Wang Xian answered them. Are you freaking kidding me? A kid like you is a master? Just as Wang Xian completed his words, the other 4 men at the back stared harshly at him. Kid, if you are a master, I'll be a grandmaster. Freak! You must be courting a beating. Just as I thought, there's no master in this wretched shop. This must be a scam and this kid must be really eager for a beating. The 4 of them exchanged words while staring angrily at Wang Xian. Even that middle-aged man with long hair was pulling a long face. Kid, your joke isn't funny at all. If there isn't any master here, why did you claim to have an alchemist master and blacksmith master on your signboard? It isn't going to end well if you dare to lie to us. The middle-aged man with long hair spoke to Wang Xian in a solemn tone. You don't believe me? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow. Hand me the materials and you will naturally know. Are you still going to lie at this point? You must be thinking of scamming us out of our materials. Is that it? An old man stared harshly at Wang Xian while gradually emitting terrifying aura. If you don't believe me, you can leave. Wang frowned and stared right at the 5 people. His tone had also gradually turned colder. Leave? We will definitely leave. However, I'm going to teach you a good lesson for fooling us before we leave. A bad-tempered middle-aged man clenched his fists tightly as he walked towards Wang Xian. The middle-aged man with long hair didn't attempt to stop him while he stared harshly at Wang Xian. Their Tianwen sect was also one of the 6 sects below the immortal sects with over 10,000 disciples. As part of the higher management of the sect, they were already in a foul mood before they came in. Yet, a kid from a shop was fooling them. This kid was a master. TSK. Even if they weren't killing him, they would want to teach him a good lesson. Chapter 579, Shot to Fame, 2. Looking at the middle-aged man who was staring at him with coldness on his face in the shop, he frowned slightly, revealing a sharp icy gaze. These 5 people not only refused to believe what he said but also spoke with a fiery temper. Wang Xian was slightly furious about that. Slowly, balls of water energy condensed in his hands. Lad, I'll let you know the consequences of cheating us. Raging aura surged around the middle-aged man just like violent tornadoes as he glowered at Wang Xian coldly. 5 blind things. A murderous intent flashed across Wang Xian's eyes as the energy around him thickened. Darn you, how dare you scold us? When the 5 of them heard what Wang Xian said, they exhibited icy killing intent, especially when one of the middle-aged men drew his long blade. Master! However, just before the 5 men from Tianwen sect and Wang Xian struck, a voice suddenly cut the air. Wang Xian froze as he gazed at the door, dispersing all the aura gathered around him. With their eyebrows raised, the 5 middle-aged and old men quickly looked to the doorway. Soon, the quintet revealed shocked looks. There were about 10 men who were at the door, including the old man from yesterday. Master, we're slightly late. The old man swept a look at the 5 Tianwen sect people as he beckoned to the group of people behind him with a smile. Master, these are the materials from the Mu family. Compared to what we mentioned yesterday, the materials have doubled now. As the old man spoke, 4 middle-aged men carried the chests and opened them on the floor. Inside the chests were metals that were level 10 and 11. Apart from that, there were chests of intact spiritual grass too. In a moment, the smell of the metal and the aroma of the spiritual medicine filled the entire store. Doubled? Wang Xian revealed a tinge of surprise in his eyes. He ignored the 5 middle-aged and old men as he walked to the chests. Yes, doubled. All the materials are here. We have 400 portions of materials for level 10 spiritual equipment, 400 portions of materials for level 5 elixir pills, 80 portions of materials for level 6 elixir pills. We only have more materials and not less. If you are not convinced, you can make a count, said the old man to Wang Xian with a smile. There's no need to. Given the reputation of Mu family, I trust you guys. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the 10 big chests with fervent eyes. Since the Mu family got him to refine spiritual equipment and elixir pills, they would not dare to shortchange him. Thank you for your trust. All the information for the required spiritual equipment and elixir pills is here. Just following accordingly will do, said the old man as he handed a manual to Wang Xian. Sure, rest assured that I'll get it done. You may send someone here to collect it 5 days from now. Wang Xian took over the manual with a smile. Great, come directly to us if you have any other requirements. The old man nodded as he swept his gaze at the 5 people beside him. He chuckled and continued, Master, since you have other business in the shop, we'll take our leave now. Okay. Wang Xian nodded. As the group of people from Mu family left, the remaining 5 Tianwen sect people were totally dumbfounded. What had they just seen? They knew the group of people and that old man who came in just now. Mu family, Mu family. The noble family from Dahong Immortal sect, as well as the top family in the entire Yongchang world. Without any exaggeration, the Mu family was more compelling than the Tianwen sect. That old man was a budding realm expert, the great elder of Mu family, who took care of all matters in the family. At the same time, he was an elder of Dahong Immortal sect. Coming from such a family, an old man with his status actually addressed this young man as Master. Master? When they spotted the chests that contained level 10 and 11 metal and spiritual grasses, their hearts beat violently. Mu family has their own alchemy master, so why would they let others refine pills for them? That's because... The five of them exchanged looks with shock and astonishment in their eyes. This young man is a master. A master that even Mu family has to treat with respect. Recalling their behaviors just now, the five of them panicked. Master, we... That middle-aged man who had been ready for a fight revealed a flustered look. He looked at Wang Xian as he stuttered with a trembling voice. They were desperately looking for an alchemy and blacksmith master. Now that they finally met one, they almost got into a fight with him. Oh my, this is absolutely... How can there be such a young master around? The five of them felt as if they'd been unjust. Since they were the ones with requests, they had to lower their heads with respect at this time. Master, it was our fault just now. We were blinded. We apologize to you, the long-haired middle-aged man quickly said to Wang Xian after taking a deep breath. Yes. It's our fault. We apologize to you. The other four hurriedly echoed. A master that even Mu family treated respectfully was not someone who Tianwen sect could afford to offend. Even if they could afford to offend him, they would not want to do it since they needed a favor from him. Looking at them, Wang Xian revealed a hint of a sneer on his face. Get lost now. Master, it's our fault. The long-haired middle-aged man gritted his teeth when he saw the cold face of Wang Xian. He fished out 2 items from his pockets. Master, it was our fault just now. These are our gifts as a token of apology. One of the 2 items was exuding a blazing flame while the other was emitting a cool and icy blue glow. Spiritual flame ball and spiritual liquid ball. Both of them are level 11. Sharp radiance flashed across Wang Xian's eyes as he gazed at those 2 spiritual beads. How many pieces of spiritual equipment and elixir pills do you guys want to make? Without any hesitation, Wang Xian took the 2 spiritual beads. On account of the fact that these 5 people were respectful and even took out level 11 spiritual beads, Wang Xian decided to drop the matter. After all, he would be the one who benefited the most when they were here to refine equipment and elixir pills. Master, thank you for your forgiveness. You're such a magnanimous man. Seeing that Wang Xian accepted the 2 spiritual beads, and hearing his question, the 5 of them were excited as they licked his boots. The arrogance and fiery temper that they had when they first came in were long gone. We want to refine 100 pieces of equipment and 200-odd elixir pills, an old man answered quickly. Each piece of spiritual equipment will take 2 sets of material. For every 3 sets of elixir pills material, you'll get 4 elixir pills. This is the price at my place. Upon hearing them, Wang Xian's eyes gleamed. What? The 5 of them froze for a moment when they heard the quote and they looked startled. He did not quote a high price, nor was it the market price. His price was simply too low. Master, what are the extra charges? The long-haired middle-aged man asked, trying to contain his excitement. No extra charges except what I mentioned just now. Wang Xian shook his head and replied immediately. Lowering his earnings was a way to obtain more profit. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.